So, welcome to what is my favorite discussion topic to do on podcasts, the best films of 2025. Today, I'm joined by a guest who I have been looking to get on the podcast for some time, but we have finally agreed that this was the right moment. So, pleased to welcome a fellow radio host to the show, Sam Clark. Welcome to the show, mate.
I should have got up and done a bow. I think I should have got up out my chair and done a bow towards the camera there. But yeah, I mean, thank you for having me on, man. Yeah, this was long overdue, I think. But yeah, we've been discussing, corresponding with films for what 2 years now, or something like that, and we've been meaning to do a show together, or just like try and get each other on the same program or stuff like that for a long time now. And I think best of the years or top 10 lists always the best program to do if you're going to ever do that. And because it's going to be a good conversation. I'm looking forward to it because it could be a debate, it could be an argument. You never know what's going to go on. But yeah, doing a top 10. We've always discussed if we're ever going to like do our first show together, it would have been a top 10 of the year because that's going to be the juiciest thing, isn't it? So that's kind of
Yeah.
in terms of show subjects, this is going to be the big one to kind of kickstart it. I think so. Going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be the big one, and I think we're probably going to have a few of my new film students listening as well, who might be looking out for some underrated gems, and also who will pick sides on who our list. So, if you favour Sam, leave a comment. If you
Exactly.
favour me, just don't hate me in the class, please. But yeah, should we just give a little bit of background, sort of, because this is
Mhm.
actually our first time meeting like face to face virtually.
Hmm.
Do you want
Hmm.
to sort of explain how we know each other?
Yes, I won't go. I won't go into too much detail because obviously don't want to spend loads and loads of time on it. But we both were at the University of Salford, and I did film studies. You did film production, and we both. I had a show on Utter Radio, a film review show, and you had your own podcast and kind of radio show going on. And it must have been a couple of weeks into doing my show, or a few weeks. You kind of got in touch with me saying hi, who you want stuff, and the fact that you had a show at Salford as well. And from then on out, we both were doing our shows on the radio, and we were basically just corresponding on films every week, and we were just talking about films in general because we both had a radio thing going on. And yeah, since then we've kind of just we've been so consistent. It's amazed me how consistent kind of we've been
Yeah.
in terms of the film discussions. Like every single week, you tell me what you've seen, I tell you what I've seen. We tell each other what we thought of the newest films, that kind of thing. So the consistency is really what's impressed me the most. To be honest, it's been mad. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm from Newcastle, and so you're Birmingham, are you?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of like distances, obviously we're completely far away. But obviously, in terms of online correspondence, it's been great to do. And obviously, I had my radio show at Salford. You had your kind of gig going on, and I've
Yeah.
continued doing my radio work at Spark as well, which is obviously we'll come to. But yeah, in terms of we know each other through Salford University and from doing radio work and podcast work. That's kind of how we crossed paths, I suppose.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like the text thread, like how yeah, obviously you mentioned the consistency. Like I just looking back
Yeah,
at it, like every film we like see every week, it's always, oh, what did you think of this? And
yeah,
there's nothing
exactly.
better than our reactions when we don't like a film. I'm gonna shout out Sentimental Value when both of us just went, was that really Best Picture worthy?
But then my favorite was Smile Two.
Yeah,
Probably
oh,
my
that's a good one. Yeah.
just in terms of how we both came out with like had the exact same expression of wow, that was fantastic. And obviously we both came out thinking I'm so glad we were on the same page about that because we were both
Yeah.
raving about it going mental. But yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it's a good. But yeah, I think it's interesting because for all the agreements, we've have had a few disagreements lately, but I suppose we're
Yeah,
going to show today how
exactly.
polite it is to have a civil disagreement. Because one of the things I was priding myself on, if someone's got a pick in their list, that
Mm.
say if I don't like one of your picks, I'm going to be brutally honest.
That's true. You got to be.
I'm not going to
It's
say,
always
yeah,
like if you've got opinions and like and stuff, you got it. I mean, doing this gig, we both know you got to stick true to your word. And if you're not sticking true to your word and just copying what other people are saying, what's the point in doing it? Because I mean, we're both massive fans of Mark Kermode and stuff,
mm,
and I don't go off what Kermode says. I listen to his opinion, but I don't base my opinion on what he said. I make my own stuff. So we both stick to our guns in terms of if we don't like something, we'll say it. If we like something, we'll say it. So we've got to stick true to our word and stuff like that. So yeah,
100%. Stick true to what we believe in, and that's what you're going to hear
exactly.
in the
That's
list.
That's it. Yeah, yeah, that's just yeah,
100%. Do you want
yeah.
to sort of give sort because you kind of you're doing the Sparks Sunderland radio gig now. Do you want to kind of give a little explanation to what you do on that, and also
Yeah,
plug it for listeners because I think some students will go and listen to it.
yeah. So it was what, halfway through second year, I want to say
Yeah,
roughly. I didn't know what I wanted to do after my film studies degree, and I went to like an after school in inverted commas kind of seminar with our lecturer. I can't remember what the topic was, but it was basically about choose your path after studies.
yeah,
And I wanted to be a film critic my whole life basically. And I thought to myself, well, hang on a minute, what about a pathway into journalism? Because after my plan was after my film studies degree, come back home, get a job, and see what your degree can take you. I think my plan was work at Cineworld or Odeon or something, and so get a job at Odeon or Cineworld, and then see where your degree can take you. But then my lecturer Monica, she said, "Well, how about something in journalism if you want to be a film critic?" And I'd never considered doing journalism ever before, and so I went away thinking, right, as I did with film studies, I was like journalism courses UK, type that into Google and see what comes up. And as luck would have it, I was looking to return back home anyway. And Sunderland had an MA journalism course that I looked at. And I could have stayed in Manchester and in Salford. It was a possibility. It would have been quite tricky to do. But I could have stayed for an extra year in Salford. But I was like, I want to come home after 3 years. And also, I don't want to
yeah,
fork out even more money for accommodation over here when I could live at home for free in a way, not pay as much at home. And so, yeah, I was locked in on Sunderland. I had looked at their website; it was really good. But more importantly than that, they had really good radio facilities. They have basically Spark FM is University of Sunderland's crown jewel. It's their radio station. It's run by their students. And as soon as I kind of learned about Spark and kind of looked at the website and stuff, I was like, I want to review films for that. I want to review films for their website, and their radio show or their radio station had no film program. It had no film review kind of slot, and I was like, I'm going to be the person who basically brings films to Spark. And fast forward later, I've been doing the show since October 2024, I want to say, and we've just in on obviously October last year we celebrated our 1 year birthday. But
oh,
yeah, I've kind of bought film reviews to Spark, and Spark Radio is basically the crown jewel of the uni, and their studio, their radio studio is worth like £5 million. It's like a
oh
really
wow,
it's a flashy, fancy kind of studio. That's basically their proudest element. It's their crown jewel. And yeah, kind of since then, I've kind of every week I've done a film review show on Spark, and it's called Lights Camera Action. And we live every Saturday because obviously doing it live on Friday is not logistically possible because I was doing uni whilst being at Spark, and so I couldn't get to the cinema on Friday. So I said to Scott, who was our manager, let me do it on a Saturday, and that way I
yeah,
can get to see films on Friday. Then by Saturday, it's the weekend. People are looking for stuff to do, and I can have a show on Saturday, and then people can go off the weekend and see films. So yeah, the kind of that's and then that's kind of history made really. And then I've been doing that ever since there. But yeah, sort of it's called Lights Camera Action, and we kind of were 11 till 12 on a Saturday because that's kind of it's logistically possible to do it from then. But yeah, that's my kind of favorite thing to do at the minute. That's what I'm doing. The main thing I'm doing aside from working now and then studying, and it's what I'm hopefully going to try and use to get into the industry now. And so yeah, Sparks basically been the center of my life for like a year now, maybe a couple of years, and that's the main thing I do. And I have a blast doing that. It's such
yeah.
good fun. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now, basically.
Yeah, I definitely do recommend giving it a listen because I think yeah, you're a very methodical reviewer. I've noticed that, and it's really interesting listening to you sometimes because it's part of like a podcast ritual I have because one of my old podcasts I listened to called Real Blend got cancelled sadly
Oh yeah,
because one of the guys left. But so your Lights Camera Action, Jonathan Ross and Mark Kermode are like my three weekly podcasts.
yeah. That's obviously you every week saying I've had a chance to listen to your podcast. So every week you let me know you've listened in, which is obviously greatly appreciated and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we can't track our listenerships. We can't track who listens in.
I can't.
And so we kind of every week we just go in blind and go, there could be 5 people listening in, there could be 50 people listening, there could be 100 people. You kind of got to put that out of your mind and just go, doesn't matter who's listening, deliver the best content you can. and that's what we strive to do every week. And
Yeah,
I have a blast doing it. I love the pressure of
yeah,
being live, and it's such a good time doing it. And we'll see how long I can keep it up for. I don't know
yeah.
how long I can keep it up for, but for the time being, you keep on going and you have a good time doing it, and see where it takes you in the end.
100%, 100%. I look
Yeah.
forward to it. Got a couple of bangers this year coming up, so I'm interested to hear the correspondence on it. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
going to be back and forth. This It's going to be juicy. Looking forward to
yeah,
it,
it is
definitely.
juicy. Yeah, because I looked at some most anticipated lists and I was like, oh my God, there's that much coming out, especially like with some of the stuff A24 are doing. It's like I'm just fully locked on
Well,
board.
I mean, 2026 is the biggest year of cinema I've ever seen,
Yeah,
and
100%.
in terms of obviously, I don't get paid to review. Paid reviewing is just like it's a voluntary thing at the minute. I want to
Yeah, same
get
to
paid
me.
for in the
Yeah,
future. But in terms of voluntary doing, I'm like, even though I'm only volunteering to do it, not for a job, I'm still the things that I should get to cover this year on a voluntary basis. It's going to be incredible. I mean, I don't know if I'll get to cover Odyssey or Avengers for Spark. That's kind of at the moment. That's kind of my main kind of unanswered question is what do you get to review for Spark and what do you not get to review?
mm,
So time will tell what films I get to cover.
yeah,
I'm hoping I get to do Odyssey because Odyssey's in the summer, and
yeah,
by summer should be all right, but December next year I'm not too sure. So fingers crossed for
yeah.
what lies ahead.
It's an interesting year, I think, to say. I think there's going to be
Yeah.
plenty more correspondence, and you may see us again next year. But before we get to next year, we got to get down to last year's business, mate. So
Yeah.
we, after all of these text threads, I think we've disagreed on quite a lot recently. Whether that's going to be discussed, we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
But firstly, I think because we obviously done top 10 list, we had
Yeah.
quite a lot of honourable mentions that didn't make the list because I think it's very apparent that we make this aware we are allowed to love more than 10 movies. So,
Yeah.
do you want to give any films a shout out first that didn't
I've
quite make your
got
list?
I've got five, which I think is quite low for an honourable mentions. But I'll start with, and I had to be so careful about pronouncing this on air on Spark. And I
Yeah.
said to my producer, I was like, mate, I need to be careful about how I say this because some ears might prick up and go, oh, what have you just said? So my number one so far is Fackham Hall. And I made sure not to say that too much on Spark or kind of not to slip up too much on Spark. But yeah, I went into Fackham Hall really like kind of aware of the rave reviews and how it's been compared to parodies and stuff. And the fact that it delivered on what it did, it's like it got the naked gun and airplane humor on point, and I'm like, that's perfect for me. That's what I want. And I laughed like a hyena throughout that, and I was the only person who was laughing as much as I was. Other people kind of chuckling around, but not laughing too much. But next up we have Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man, and
Interesting.
you're probably surprised this hasn't made the list, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the more I came away from that thinking it's good, but Ryan Johnson is kind of not shying away, but he's kind of what's the word? He's kind of digressing more away from what made the first one so good. I think Wake Up Dead Man's still a brilliant murder mystery, and it represents what's so good about Knives Out. But the first one was such a quirky comedy. Then the second one was forgettable, but this one took a different path.
Mm,
It was
100%.
more restrained in what it did. It was more kind of religious, obviously, and yeah, it maintained its kind of usual aesthetics. But for me, it's kind of going more away from what the first Knives Out was, but still a good time and still
Yeah.
perfectly up there. Next up is Pillion for me,
Didn't see it.
and yeah, and so I thought this was fantastic to be honest. And if you thought films like Saltburn were steamy and kind of other stuff like that, I mean, I said again, I mean, we've corresponded so much about every single one of these films on the list, and we kind of already know what we're going to say about them. But I'm going to kind of repeat things anyway because we might as well. But
Yeah. Yeah, of
With
course.
Pillion, I saw a preview screening or I saw a secret screening and half the audience walked out because I don't think people were quite prepared for what you do see in that film. And I stuck it through to the end because I was like, well, I'm reviewing this for my show, so I can't walk out. But also the fact that I knew what to expect going in because I knew it was an 18, I knew it was raunchy and steamy. But the fact that this got a lot of walkouts, but it's a kind of it's a Dom rom com as Alex Skarsgård put it on Graham Norton. Done right, it knows what it's doing, gets in, gets out, and for what it is, it's done well. Next up, we have Frankenstein,
Yeah,
and
I got that as well on my list. Yeah.
yeah, and I thought this was superb. I mean, in terms of filmmakers who you want to handle certain source material, Guillermo del Toro handles Frankenstein film is like what more could you ask for? And I think this has been a passion project for his for since the 90s or something. And yeah, this is kind of it's a Del Toro Frankenstein film. What more needs to be said? But was it quite good enough, or did I love it as much as others? Not quite as much, but it's great. He delivered on the gothic nature because it's Del Toro. Now, my last one of this list, and I actually removed this from my top 10 list and kind of replaced it with something else.
Okay.
But we've got The Long Walk, which is
That's on my list as well. Yeah.
my joint biggest surprise of this year, and my other biggest surprise is on my list. But this is one of two big surprises I had this year, and again, didn't know much about it. I knew the rave reviews of this. Again, I'm going to be saying that a lot this episode, but I knew how well received this was, and it's one of those films I didn't know how good the reviews were going to be, and I didn't expect it to be as well received as it was, and so I thought I'm not really looking forward much to this. We'll see how it goes. And the review embargo dropped, and I was like, oh, I need to pay attention to this now. And it was nasty. It was emotional. It was really violent as well. It was properly nasty, nervous, and splattery. But in terms of one of the biggest surprises of the year, this delivers for me on all fronts. It was emotional, sad,
Yeah.
dark, and well performed by the actor whose name escapes me. What's his name?
Cooper
The
Hoffman. Yeah. David Johnson. Yeah.
David Johnson is the one. He's got
Yeah.
a future ahead of him. But what's your list looking like? What have you got up there?
Well, I'll quickly say David Johnson. I don't know if you agree with him on this because when I saw it with my mate, he was the first thing we spoke about. We actually
Yeah.
said he could be the new Bond because he's that good. I think. I
Um,
don't
I'm,
know.
st- I'm,
Or
I'm. Are you? How are you feeling about Callum Turner? People are saying him.
oh, okay.
He's too.
I've seen his
He's
TV show, The Capture. He was really good in that, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think he's too one note, maybe.
I think he's too wooden. He's a bit one
Yeah.
dimensional for me. I saw. I mean, in Eternity, I thought you've got no expression to you. You're kind of just a blank canvas. And so, but for me, my pick is still Aaron Taylor Johnson. But yeah,
Yeah.
have you seen the trailer for Waste Man? By the way.
I saw a glimpse of it.
It looks extreme. It looks fantastic. I can't. It's
Yeah.
February, I think, but that's coming up on his. I can't wait for that. But yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
stuff to look forward to there.
He's one to watch, isn't he, David Johnson? The Long
Oh,
Walk, as we said, was on my list.
100%.
Not what I expected at all. It was one of those films where I wasn't prepared for how emotional it was going to be. And what
Oh
was so
yeah, true.
interesting about the dystopian aspect is that it's kind of the least interesting part of it because what the real heart of the film is the discussions these
Hmm.
guys are having on the walk and sort of the
Yeah.
bonds they make, and you just it got really quite chilled at the end when but yeah, I also had Frankenstein on my list. Really enjoyed the exploration of obviously the man versus monster. I thought visually it
Yeah,
was
of course.
quite stunning. I thought Jacob Elordi surprised the heck out of me
He
because
was good. Yeah.
I'm not been too big on his filmography, but in
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
I just was like I feel so much empathy. It was like I
Yeah.
was really quite captivated. I'm going to
True.
go quickly through mine because I've got a lot to shout out. I reckon some of these might be on your list.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go. Hallow Road is on my honourable mentions.
Do you know what? I'm like, yeah, I forgot about that. Ah, well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tight, it's very tight, claustrophobic drama, similar to Tom Hardy's Lock if you've ever seen it. Makes two people drive into the scene of what is a potential crime scene very interesting.
Mm,
I think this next one's going to be on your list, but I've got F1 on my honourable mentions, a magnificently shot blockbuster. It
mm,
was kind of like Top Gun Maverick with cars, but just really good old school fun. Saw it with my parents when we were in Florida. Everyone really enjoyed it, which was great.
yeah.
Here's a dark horse, The Life of Chuck. I've got on my honorable mentions, which is
Disagreement number one.
yeah.
This is it. Yeah.
I think we both said because this was a 15, and we both said coming out like, how the hell was this 15? But I thought it was this
Mm,
very philosophical piece about what it means for someone to live their life to the fullest. Initially, it was very
yeah.
confusing, but some of the themes really resonated with me. I think about the importance of the afterlife and also what legacy
Yeah.
you leave before you die.
Yeah.
Uh,
True.
I don't think we'll go into the disagreement too much because we'll save it for later because there will be some. I've got Together, the body horror on my list.
That's in my list. That's in my list
Okay,
somewhere for
yeah.
me.
I
Yeah.
won't mention the next one because it is definitely going to be in your list. House of Dynamite's in my honorable mentions, which I thought
It's
was a yeah,
yeah, it's kind of I think obviously critics loved it and it's one of the best reviewed films I've seen of the year in terms of again a film that I was really anticipating because of how much people loved it, but audiences hated it. I don't know why. Well, there were like news articles that came out after the film was released, basically people saying how the Pentagon isn't happy with it, X, Y, Z. But I mean, audience, it's like critics loved it, audiences despised it. So it's unfortunate that that took a turn that it did.
Yeah, it was a really interesting look at what if a nuclear bomb was imminent, and I really quite like the three
Mm,
perspectives. But I get why it's not for everyone, and the ending is certainly divisive. I had
yeah,
Predator Badlands on the list, which I didn't expect to make it.
yeah,
A very playful spin on the genre for me.
exactly.
Sort of take Deck's story as the Predator being the hero, I thought was really
Yeah.
emotionally investing. I don't know if you've seen this one. I've got the new Taron Egerton movie, She Rides Shotgun, on my list.
I know you love that. I didn't get around to it. I'm trying to think of why I didn't, but yeah, I know you love that one as well. So
Yeah, don't, no, I'm not going to call you out because believe me, we're human. We do not have time to see everything because trust me. But yeah, that
yeah,
was a really interesting, low-key, hard-hitting father-daughter storyline.
yeah,
I'll
true.
go for my last five, which are kind of like 15 to 11, you could say, because I had a
Okay.
very tough time with that. So go for 15 first. Mickey 17. What an
Ah,
interesting little film this was from Bong Joon-ho. I say
yeah,
little,
exactly.
the budget was about $100 million, but it kind of really got overshadowed at the box office, this, which is quite sad because it's this really interesting dystopian piece on identity in a very rich economical climate. Rob Pattinson
Yeah,
is absolutely superb, but he's not
he is
gonna
good.
get not gonna get a look in probably for anything, sadly. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
my 15. 14. I don't know if you saw the new Cillian Murphy film, Steve.
No, my parents or I think my parents and my dad raved about it, but that
Yeah.
was in a lot of the films that I'm saying no, I haven't seen. The reason being is that every week I basically pick three films to do, and in some weeks it's simply too much to pick. And so most whenever I say I didn't get to see that, it's 99% of the time it's because it was a busy week I didn't get around to
Yeah,
it. So yeah,
some of the weeks in December were just manic. Like I couldn't even
true.
believe it myself. But 13, I've got The Lost Bus. Very good
Ah,
true story from Paul
yeah,
Greengrass.
love Green Grass so much.
One of the very few art streaming experiences I've had where I've actually come away from something thinking I actually wish I saw that on the big screen because some of the visuals of the wildfire were just stunning, I thought, and it was really immersive, very sad
Yeah,
story, but
yeah,
very
true.
heroic at the same time. 12, I've got The Assessment, which I was really sad to admit.
Complete on that is a gem this year. That's completely that went so out of my mind. It's unbelievable. So
Yeah,
that was fantastic. That was proper, just like creative science fiction, completely niche science fiction. But that was really creative in what it did.
yeah, that was and then my number 11, which I'm pained to say this. I'm actually pained. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry. Uh,
Yeah, it made no money. I mean, not that well, it does
yeah,
matter, but that kind of yeah, for me, Dead Reckoning and the Final Reckoning did just fall into exposition, and it's like the opening 5 minutes of Final Reckoning is the entire Mission Impossible series rammed down your throat, and I'm like, oh, really? Do we have to do that? But hey, it's the last film. We've run out of ideas in terms of plot. Let's just do that. So
and
yeah,
that's what kind of knocked it off the 10 for me because initially the stunt work on it I think is extraordinary. I think the plane
yeah, true.
sequence is perhaps the best final stunt I've ever seen in any action film ever,
That's
but
true.
it's not my favorite mission movie, sadly. I think
Tell you,
Fallout's, yeah,
I might cheat. I'm thinking, well, I'm thinking about F1 and Mission Impossible. The fact that out of all the films I've forgotten to put in, I'm gonna whack in F1 and Mission Impossible in my honorable mentions. I completely forgot to do those. I mean, in
yeah,
terms
that's
of
fine.
pure cinematic kind of like why we go to the cinema, those films are why
Yeah.
IMAX and 4D exist. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna whack them in my honorable mentions to be honest, just off the bat.
But yeah, we've got quite a good list. I think the last one I'd say, which is a film which I don't think you watch because given what you watched that week, I just wouldn't have myself. But Goodbye June was my last honorable mention. Uh,
I tell you what, I began on the last show I did last weekend. I began watching Goodbye June, but since I'd watched what did I see that day? Song Sung Blue and something else.
yeah,
I said I was too drained, and I lasted
sentimental
hot.
value. You
That
can't
was it.
forget that. Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
can't
And
forget that.
I lasted 20, 30 minutes with Goodbye June, I thought to myself, what films have got an anniversary that I could just whack on? And so I did Rambo
Yeah.
2 because I was like, that's just going to be just give me a popcorn film to just like make me enjoy. So yeah,
But yeah, that's some good honorable mentions discussed
yeah,
there. I'm gonna go for the top 10 now. Basically, the way I'm gonna do this is if we say a film and if someone's got it higher on their list, we'll just hold off talking about the film until we've got to the higher position.
sure, yeah.
So do you want to kick off with your number 10?
I do. So my number 10 is Together. And basically,
Yes.
I think it's only right to start my list with a horror film because I believe, and we've said this at least 10 times last year, that 2025 has been the best year of horror of all time. And I just stick by it, and we'll come to more stuff later on. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was a delicious, like, and bone crackling piece of film. It's one of the few times which I thought a film is like, yeah, it's a deliciously kind of, yeah, deliciously crackling piece of film to get his like teeth stuck into. But yeah, within body horror history, it's not really been that done before. I mean, obviously Cronenberg's done it, but it's a still fairly niche kind of category, and we never get body horror films anymore, and we just never see them anymore like Cronenberg used to do. And then along comes Together and goes, yeah, we'll take you back to the body horror films and remind you why they're so good and remind you why you enjoyed them so much. And this has, one of the best understandings of how to do it I've ever seen. And the fact that the guy who did this is his first film, written and directed by Michael Shanks, I think his name is, and the fact that he's never done a film, never done horror is insane. But I mean, in terms of like these lists, like I'm going to talk less and less about my top ones at the top, and
Yeah.
the further down we'll get, I talk more in detail about
Yeah.
those. But yeah, but for me, yeah, this is like it's the best example I think of all time in terms of how effective and successful you can be when you cast real life couples in your film,
Yeah.
which is never done in Hollywood. I mean, obviously with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place, you never see on screen couples in real life couples on screen together, and but not only that, a horror film in which you and your wife cannot be physically separated. What better way to get an actual husband and wife to do that? And that's just perfect. But yeah, it's a crunchy film, superbly crunchy, and it kind of like it like contorts itself, it cracks itself, it bends itself in every way imaginable. And the set pieces in this are so fun to watch. They're not funny, but they're ridiculously enjoyable.
Yeah.
And it's got, I mean, when it gets down to the CG towards the end, I thought the CG lived up to. I didn't think it was bad. I thought the CG was quite impressive, to be honest. When they mangle the two bodies together at the end, and the kind of that visual, I thought was quite striking, well done. But kicking this off with a horror film, which is the only way to kind of summarize 2025 with horror because it's
Yeah.
been that good this year. But we'll kind of get into more juicy horror for me
Yeah.
later, though.
And I will echo the same thoughts. I'll put it that way. But Together's great. I think the legitimacy of you said as casting the real life couple. I think Dave Franco and
Yeah,
Alison Brie, who are absolutely excellent in the film together. One of those films, it starts off a bit slow, but when it gets to the body
it
horror
does.
effects,
It does.
it is really quite like it's quite startling. I thought watching it because I was like,
Funny,
I
yeah.
generally like quite invested, and then you get to the ending, which is just absolutely bonkers. But it's a great one, and shall I go for my number 10? Because it's sort of
Yeah, let's do it.
the way you said 2025 was the year for horror. The film that would best epitomize my list is that 2025 was the year for A24 for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you will have seen my number 10, but and I'm not trying to stump you by any means. I've gone with what yeah, gone with what I think caps the list, but I've gone for Sorry Baby as my number 10.
I didn't end up seeing that. I was in Holland, I think, when I was away on a trip, so that kind of went under for me. But I love that was the she has a cat. It's the Lucas Hedges one, isn't it? Is that his
Yeah,
name, Lucas?
yeah, it's Eva Victor's directorial debut, and
Mm-hmm.
essentially what this film is, it's a quiet, devastating exploration as to the aftermath of a sexual assault that
Okay.
really lingers long after viewing. It's one of those films where it doesn't necessarily feel the need to shout its themes across you.
Yeah,
It's
true.
very subtle in its approaches. I think her screenplay is really authentic. It's very realistic for human interaction.
Yeah.
Naomi Aki's in this, who you might have seen in she played Whitney Houston and was in Blink
Ah,
twice.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But this to me is by far her best performance today. I think it was because their friendship that Victor and Aki share on screen is very convincing, and it's this very raw, understated performance that Eva Victor has to give because she essentially has to carry trauma off her back without ever revealing it. And there's
Okay,
some
yeah, yeah.
really interesting ideas. There's like a really good long take where there's a bath scene where the assault's kind of recounted, but it's got a nice restraint to it. It's
Okay, yeah.
there's a good tightness around it. There's also a really good court scene where you sort of know why the lead character can't do jury duty. I won't go into details,
Yeah.
but for me, this was just a really tender, grounded film about how to cope with real life more than anything. And not only
True.
that, I think some films miss the essence of how to handle real life well. And sometimes it's just
Yeah,
normal.
exactly.
It's got a
Mm,
dark comedy as well. It's got the cat in it, obviously on the poster, which is really a nice touch.
yeah.
But it's a testament to the power of understated storytelling. And I was really knocked out by Eva Victor's debut. So
I think
sorry,
that's
it's yeah,
what best way to start a year of a best of the year with a soft one, kind of like ease your
yeah,
way into it, kind of don't jump straight into the deep end and just kind of start off with that one. So yeah, that's a lot of these I should check out at some point, but time will tell if I kind of get around to them. I'll do my number nine now.
yeah.
I'm gonna go for Sisu Road to Revenge.
Oh, I didn't see this. You can stop me now.
But yeah, this is not for me. It's not only one of the best action sequels ever made, but the most gloriously and creatively brain dead piece of action cinema I've ever seen. And I think the best a good sign of action cinema is kind of when you laugh your socks. It depends. I mean, if you laugh your socks off during an action film, it can be bad because it could be the film's trying to be serious, but you can't take it seriously. But for this is a full blown comedy from beginning to end.
Yeah.
This is like I and everyone else in there was laughing our socks off. I mean, this is funnier than some comedies we've seen this year,
Oh,
and
okay.
how creative the set pieces are. I mean, it's stupid, but from like a kind of an impressively death defying, genuinely creative, genuinely intriguingly well done set pieces. This is like there's a cabin sequence. Don't want to give too much away. In which the main character is sneaking through cabins that are like filled with sleeping soldiers. Who, if they wake up, he's dead, and he's trying to sneak past them. And it's an extended gag. It's like an extended visual gag. He's trying to get past these soldiers, and there's like booby traps on the floor that he's trying to get through. And it's one of the best sequences of the film. But the level of stupidity is mind blowing. But crucially here, it's stupid action that's genuinely well done and it's
Yeah.
clever, and that's really tricky to do. Stupid action can go so wrong, but they couldn't have they couldn't have got it more right really, and I'm amazed at just how well it's been pulled off. But I'm not sure how successful the first one was, but the first one got rave reviews when it came out, and I said to you how the first one
Yeah.
kind of holds a place in my heart because it's the first film I ever kind of professionally reviewed. I like that I got paid for a website. So, but yeah, this could have gone so wrong. But for a sequel to Sisu, it not only lived up to it, but it was perhaps better than the first one, which is quite tricky to do. But
Mm.
it turned everything up to 11. And the guy who's directed this is apparently directing a new Rambo film,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's going to be insanity. That I cannot wait
Yeah.
for that, and so I'm looking forward to that. I cannot wait to see what it does with that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I did see it. So you've stopped me today, so that's good. So I think I was just really busy at the time when it was like
Yeah,
Wicked Week and there was barely any show times of Sisu. But you've definitely made
that's
me
true.
intrigued
Mm.
because the fact you put this higher than Mission Impossible is quite interesting, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
uh,
true.
I'll go
Yeah.
for my number nine, and I'm going to pre-warn you now. This is going to be our first disagreement. I've gone for Lurker as number nine.
Oh, it had to happen. It had to happen. Yeah.
Do you want me to present my defense first, and then I'll let you weigh in? So,
Yeah, yeah, go for it, go for it.
really interesting one. This came out December 12th amongst so many films like Ellen McKay's Silent Night, Deadly Night, Fuck and
Yeah, it's
Balls.
packed.
The other way, it was just a mental week. I knew nothing about this before I went to see it. So it's this idea of this retail worker. I'll do a little bit of plot on the smaller films as well because I think it's been
Yeah,
really
sure.
good to set people up.
Yeah.
This retail worker, Matthew Morning, very good character name, Matthew,
Hey,
ironically.
there you go.
But who essentially kind of falls into the orbit of this rising music star, Oliver. but and what happens is they become friends, and then Oliver asks him to work on a documentary, and then the imbalance of power and obsession begin to happen. But this was another directorial debut, and it's really interesting, like how much last year proved to be. You wouldn't know they were directorial debuts.
That's
Some of
true.
these
That's one of the best
absolute
things, isn't it?
bangers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is one of the most intellectually psychological thrillers I've seen in recent years, and I'm going to present my
Yeah.
defense.
I agree with that, to be honest. I see where you're going with that. So yeah.
So one of the things I really liked initially from the offset was that for a film called Lurker, that the camera actually kind of positioned you as the audience to feel like
Mm,
a literal lurker. You
mm,
were sort of watching these conversations unfold from a quiet distance,
yeah.
but it was kind of this passive observation as a viewer that felt intrusive on my part. So that was really intriguing.
Yeah.
Part of it shot on 60 millimeter, and that's really I love the texture of the film that Matthew Morning was making. I really liked how the film became a really precise examination into fan culture and
Yeah,
also
true.
celebrity visibility and what the
Mm,
cost of artistic exposure is.
yeah.
But what I liked about Russell's confidence with the direction is that he withhold a lot until that ending, really, in my opinion, because that
Does yeah.
ambiguity, it's this idea. It reminded me a lot of I know you discussed this with Pillion in our text thread, the Femme, the movie with George Mackay,
Yeah.
this idea of who's leading who in this film.
Mm,
I thought the
mm,
performance, Fyodor Pelerin was absolutely spellbinding because there's this caricature in this like vulnerability of being outcast by Oliver, but it's so terrifying. It's one of those films where I'm going to just get this out there. You don't really like anyone, but I don't care.
no,
But
not a single person. Not really.
Archie as Oliver was really interesting. There's a quiet authority that he withholds. It's really
Mm,
interesting of what I think the reason why it's went a bit lower than I may have thought was because I haven't rewatched it. Because I think on the second viewing, if you rewatch it from Oliver's perspective, you might see a very different film of power
that's a good
imbalance and
point. Yeah.
struggles.
Hmm.
But it's the unspoken tension that I think shines. The ending has a lot to say on who was ever leading who in the movie.
Yeah,
But
true.
what I loved about the film, to kind of wrap this up, was that it was a male-based obsession movie that subverted my expectations massively, and it was also
Mm.
a really good piece on who actually won at the end. I'm gonna just leave it at
That's a
that.
good
Yeah,
point. That's a very, very, very good point. That is, yeah, I will say that. And for me, I mean, I said my biggest takeaway from this is what happens when Harmony Korine directs Saltburn. It's the kind of it's the LA kind of skater kid kind of sensibility, but with the same. I felt the same way with this as sentimental value in that I just got nothing out of it. I got no kind of feeling whatsoever, and I just did not. I didn't get anything from it. It didn't linger in my memory at all. And you talk about when you said for Sorry Baby how it lingers with you after. I just could not connect on this with on
yeah,
connect with this on any level whatsoever. And I'm disappointed to say that because I was aware it done the festival circuits and I was aware that it had done well critically. And again, it comes time for you to watch a well reviewed film and it never ends well. But I wish I liked it more than I did.
yeah,
But it's a really good point of it does end on ambiguity. It does end
yeah,
on who do we trust most.
yeah. I'll leave it at that because I think if we say any more,
Yeah.
it's gonna start leaning into spoiler
Get into that
territory. Yeah,
territory. Yeah,
yeah. Should
exactly.
we move?
So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Number
my
eight.
number eight is Die My Love. And
Didn't see this either, and I know that students are gonna absolutely berate me because my letterbox has
yeah,
become a public target since starting 6 years. I'm gonna
that's
be yeah,
yeah, that's it, isn't it? But this to me is what the in a weird way. This is such a weird description, right? But the fleshiest and most primal film I've ever seen, and truly one of the most viscerally unpredictable experiences I've had, and one of the most unnervingly unpredictable films I've ever seen. And that is all down to Jennifer Lawrence in this. She is magnificent, and she's my pick for best actress in this.
okay.
I think she's taken home. Has she got two Oscars or one?
I
Has she
don't
got
know actually.
Silver
I'm not
Linings is
looking there.
one. I think it's she must be
Yeah,
on a second maybe if she wins this. But for me, she's secured best actress first. She is phenomenal. This is one of the best female performances I've ever seen. But it's got a 15 for mental health themes, strong sex, nudity, and language. And that's what you get with this. And I'm surprised this wasn't given an 18 because there were moments in this we go, that's like a full on whack of an 18. But yeah, it's how we have the main point of this is how we have incredible actors who can bring us work like this. And I think it's definitely a film that goes against the norm. You've got Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence who have starred in some of the biggest films of all time. Both of them are blockbuster dynamite, but they've both been in billion-dollar films, and yet they're actors who also love to do the quirky stuff and love to do the really obscure stuff. I mean, the films that Robert Pattinson has gone to do in his career, films like High
Yeah,
Life, films like Good Times and Cosmopolis. Robert Pattinson is an actor who does the big studio stuff, but loves doing the really
yeah,
quirky, strange things. And this is another example of that. And they're both incredible in this. But Jennifer Lawrence, one of the best female performances I've ever seen. But I think um who is it? It's Lynn Ramsey who's behind
yeah.
this. And again, this is just credit to her. She's phenomenal. She's done such a good job of directing this, and it's sort of she's proven to be one of the most raw and visceral filmmakers we have. And it did feel as though it felt like a Darren Aronofsky film. It felt like kind of Lars von Trier. It felt really edgy. And given the way how primal and unpredictable, it's about a marriage that goes completely wrong. It's about a marriage and about unpredictable behavior in marriages. But it's about how on edge I was due to Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson and Lynn Ramsey, how on edge and how I didn't see where this was going and how you don't know where this is going. And it was anxiety inducing. It's like, I don't know where this can possibly lead to. And Jennifer Lawrence's character, she kind of self harms herself in ways, and she smashes her
Mm,
face against the mirror at one point, and it keeps you on such edge. And Jennifer Lawrence, for me, is my pick for best actress in this. And
yeah.
yeah, this I'm glad I needed to put this in this list. I would have been disappointed in myself had I not. But do check this out if people haven't seen it. This is one of the most memorable experiences I've had this year, I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need to check it out now. I was looking at this logistically because this was awards contender for last year's Oscars, but this
Ah,
came
okay,
out in
yeah.
January this year, so I'm like,
Right,
I
yeah.
I am stealing this. And all the credit for you for this because I would not have seen this film and not been for
Ah,
you. My number eight is The Girl with the Needle.
yes, 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 yes.
Uh,
There we go. Perfect.
so, is this in your list at all? Is it?
Oh no, I've not. I don't think it was going to make my list, but I'm glad
Yeah,
you've mentioned it in there. I'm glad for that.
it's really hard film to cast my memory back to because it's a film you want to just kind of shake from your memory. But
Yeah,
it's set. This is set in post-World War Copenhagen, and it's a film that really carries a historical weight that is closer to an actual real life horror, I would say.
mm,
But yeah, it's basically based on the story of Caroline, a young pregnant woman who sort of gets entangled with this older woman called Dagmar through an adoption agency
yeah,
that I'm just gonna say conceals something darker because I knew nothing about the story. I just
yeah,
went off you saying because we both saw I'm Still Here, and then you said, "Oh, watch this because it should win Best Foreign
mm,
Feature Film," and I fully agreed.
yeah,
It's a film that's really quite unrelenting about the hysteria surrounding the pregnancy just to begin with.
yeah,
I think it's got a refusal. There's a certain defiancy that I quite like, where
yeah. True.
it contextualizes the cruelty in a way that I think it it did it in the most best way I think it could. I think Dagmar's true nature as to what she really represents in the film is
Yeah,
really quite traumatizing for me. It actually shook me
yeah,
to the core when it happened, but and it's to the point where it feels like a malevolent presence.
yeah. True.
I think the uncertainty of where the film's leading you is really the horror itself. But I think Vic Harmonson as Caroline, the young woman who becomes pregnant at the start, is just there's such an emotional fragility she captured stunningly.
Yeah, exactly.
I will shout out Trin de Rome's, I don't know if I pronounced that name, who plays Dagmar, because you can imagine that how the hell you actually get in that headspace is something that
Yeah.
really interesting.
What
It,
nationality? What country was this?
I think this was Danish,
Danish? Right.
Danish,
I
yeah.
thought so. Yeah. Okay.
But it's just one of the things I liked was it never glamorized Dagmar as well, because sometimes I
Yeah.
think with like these hyper sensationalized Netflix shows
True.
about serial killers, it can make it seem like a phenomenon. Whereas
Yeah.
this kind of just told its story for what it needed to. it is a historical nightmare. I will say this. It's a tough watch, but
Yeah.
it just really lingered with me afterwards, and it deserved to get more recognition last year, I think.
And it's just occurring to me now how David Lynch-esque it was, to be honest. I think
Yeah,
with the black and white imagery, with the a lot really, really quirky nature, I do think it's kind of a Lynchian film and took inspiration from that. So yeah.
yeah. But yeah, do you want to go for your
But
number seven? Let's keep it.
now this I think this is going to be in people's top three of the year. Like
Okay, go on.
one battle after another, and
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to have
and
it, but not that
I
low. That's
think
interesting.
yeah, I mean this was on par with materialists for this position because I think I've materialists was in my list, but it's not anymore. But this and one battle were competing for
Yeah,
this space. But yeah, I mean one battle it's where to begin with this one. I mean, obviously performances across the board. DiCaprio's fantastic. I mean, Sean Penn has won his third Oscar.
yeah.
Simple as
He's
that.
great.
Sean Penn, I think, has walked away with his best. He's going to be best supporting, isn't he? But then he just commands this all the way through. He's psychotic. He's demented. He's fantastic. But I think for me, it's going to be DiCaprio versus someone else who will come on to for lower down the list. But
Yeah,
this is probably one of DiCaprio's best, if not his best performance. I think he's great in this. But in terms of, I think Paul Thomas Anderson is one of the greatest filmmakers to have ever lived. He's overdue. He's overdue an Oscar, but I think by now he's overdue Best Director. And will this get him Best Director? It's looking like it will. It's looking likely, and yeah, he's proven to be one of the best filmmakers we've had ever. But I think the big overall picture of this is how for film we'll come on to later, and I'll bring this point up again. How defiant this is with Hollywood. This is a completely
yeah,
original story, and this cost 175 million, which is the budget. This is more expensive than some Marvel films, and I'm like, how has this cost this much? But there you go. But this, it's adrenaline pumping, it's anxiety inducing, and it's just completely chaotic. But it's a film that kind of, it's an original story, original film that's got this big of a budget, that's got this big of a cast, but it's fantastically directed.
yeah,
It's PTA's best film since There Will Be Blood. It's not as good as There Will Be Blood, but it's certainly up there. And I think it has one of the best sequences we'll ever see in cinema this year. It's got one that stand out in the ending car chase, the kind of over the hills and
yeah. It's
the
good.
car chase at the end is Hitchcockian. And this was just it was fantastic. And I'm surprised this isn't lower down for me. But the films that are lower down I loved more than this, but this for me is the performances this year have been performances for this have been fantastic and brilliantly made. But as an original story, the whole thing is like we are an original story. We are kind of it was a defiant piece and not the best of the year for me, but it reminds us how good of a filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson is, and DiCaprio is incredible in it, and Sean Penn might win his third Oscar, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it fares award season. I'm going to be really controversial here. This is not on my list. It was an honourable
I don't
mention.
really, I don't blame you. Really, I'm okay with that.
It
To
was,
be honest,
I think maybe the hype around it may have hurt my expectations slightly because I think
yeah,
especially I find it with awards films might get into this with a pick I think you've got higher up where you could have so much hype going in and then you sort of see it and you go, well, it's good, but it just wasn't. I don't consider One Battle to be a
yeah,
masterpiece. If I'm being honest,
yeah,
I wouldn't put it on. I think it's a very well made film. You know, all the things
mm,
you said, I would apply to the Oscars. Leo was fantastic. Benicio
mm,
was fantastic.
yeah,
All of the female supporting performances were excellent.
exactly.
The hill sequence was jaw-droppingly made. But and I when Leo's character goes on the run, I was like
Oh,
locked in from that moment. Just the
me
way.
too, 100%.
But
Yeah,
I think it may have some pacing issues that I think people might be slightly
could.
overlooking.
It was
But
just shy. It was how long was it? Just shy of 3 hours. Was it that long? 2.5 hours. I think it was in the end. And you do kind of feel that in the end. You do kind of go, "Oh, I'm getting a bit tired here now."
I think it was yeah. I think it was mainly with yeah, the resolution for one of the characters. I won't spoil One Battle because I actually think you should definitely
Yeah,
see it. But yeah, I'll go for my number seven. I might be holding this potentially. So,
yeah.
my number seven is Sinners.
Oh,
Am I holding
that's
Sinners?
That's quite high up, to be honest. You've gone quite high up there, I think. Wow,
Oh, is it not
okay.
in your list?
Oh, sorry, no. In terms of yeah, it is in the list.
Okay,
Um,
should we hold Sinners for a bit then?
um, depends what you want. I mean, depends how much you want to get into it, really. It's quite a bit further down for me.
Okay. Shall I give why it was number seven? Then we can just
Yeah, go on.
keep things moving because I think we got a lot
Yeah,
of personal reasons to give.
yeah,
So it's tough on this for me because I didn't have a chance to rewatch it, so I'm going off the experience I had in April. Uh, Atmospherically, it's probably lingering more than maybe the narrative aspect in my
yeah,
head at the
sure, yeah,
minute.
yeah.
There's a really interesting it's a really interesting comparison because I'm actually thinking about do you remember the vampire film Abigail that
Yeah,
came out?
I reviewed that for my website. I had a good time with that. That was a good fun. I
But
thought.
but Sinners is a lot more than Abigail. Put it that way. If I say it's a film about examining the cultural importance of music, how it shapes
Ooh,
identity, heritage, collective belonging, that's a much more than what Abigail did.
yeah,
I think the film's biggest strength. A lot of people will say this is about how it interweaves the vampire mythology with this kind of merging of cultural identity clash. And we've
yeah,
got
true.
Michael B. Jordan, who delivers some of his, I would say, his best performance of his
His
career.
best. Yeah,
Uh, there's an urgency, physical presence with such an emotional weight. Jack O'Connor, who I've been such a big fan of
I
from,
see. I mean, have you seen Eden Lake?
yes.
He was. Oh my god, he is. Wow, that's just.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think he's been on my radar for a while now. But
yeah,
if people
likewise.
haven't seen Eden Lake, you need to see Eden Lake.
Yeah, just be warned with Eden Lake because it is brutal. It is
It's an
so
it's a, it's an 18 as well, so strap in.
But talk about Ludwig Göransson's score, which is so integral to the experience. It
Yeah,
charges the film
I
with
think and
such
I
a
think he's going to win
elegance.
best. He's going to win best score probably.
I, I definitely would like to see that. And one of the things I wrote down was the dance sequence through time. I think everyone's going to be talking about that. It's just such a
True.
bold visual articulation. But one of
Yeah,
the things I really loved about Sinners, I maybe it took a while for me to get going. That's why pacing wise, I put it a bit lower than others.
yeah.
But
It is a slow burner.
when it got going and the barn action starts, I was like locked in from that point. It was reminded me of that scene I had watching Abigail is when uh shit hits the fan, to put it politely. Might cut
Yeah,
that bit out, but it's this I was just really locked in as a piece of entertainment. It's a very precise screenplay. I think there's probably a lot more to a second watch that I may have given
yeah,
credit for. But
yeah.
yeah, I love Sinners.
I think it's up there with Top Gun on do you do a sequel or not, or do you do another one or not? And I'm praying. Well, Top Gun 3 is going ahead anyway, but I'm praying they don't go ahead with Sinners 2. But I think a spin off with is what's Jack O'Connor's character's name again, Rennick or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I think if you do another one, which I don't think you should do, maybe do a prequel with Rennick. I think people will be interested in that. If you do another one, maybe explore Rennick's background because that might get some bums on seats. But try not to get too carried away with the film is what I'm saying. But my number six, and I think you might think this should be lower down, but Morty Supreme, I'm going to settle with number six.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for a while now, there's been the discussion of if Timothy Chalamet is the best actor of his generation, and I think this has just gone and confirmed it. Really, I think I will he be the next Daniel Day Lewis? I've heard that comparison chucked around quite often. But for me, Mark Supreme confirms this. So when you say Timothy Chalamet is brilliant, well, what else is new? That's we've already known that for a long time now. But this is the most method he's gone, and I don't think he's really
Yeah.
a method actor. But in terms of just losing himself within a role, he's done this perfectly. Um, I think he's not really a method actor, but we'll see what he does down the line. But every year you always say kind of the Oscars is going to get juicy, but I saw came out of Marty Supreme, and this was a point I was going to make with one battle, but I didn't want to spoil Marty Supreme. I think it's going to be Timothy Chalamet versus Leonardo DiCaprio. But that conversation is going to get interesting in terms of who's going to win Best Actor later on. But in terms of who I think the big hitters are going to be, it's going to be Chalamet versus DiCaprio. But yeah, in terms of the Safdie brothers can do anxiety cinema really well, which is kind of such a niche genre. If you watch Uncut Gems, if you watch Good Times, these guys can do energetic carnage so well. But the fact that they make energetic anxiety and carnage be as funny as they do is to its credit. And you've seen this, haven't you?
Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the bathtub sequence got the biggest laugh in my screening.
Yes.
It was just completely chaotic and just ridiculous. But the fact that it was as funny as it was is really rare and quite impressive as well. But Chalamet is just he is the next big thing in Hollywood, and he's just won the Critics' Choice Awards. I want to say if
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
name of
yeah,
it. But
yeah.
yeah, if he takes away Best Actor, then fair play to him. But we're both hoping he doesn't win, which we'll come on to later. But yeah,
Yes, we will come on to that later.
come the awards. I think Chalamet is going to be in the spotlight for this one. He's going to be a lot of people's picks. I think.
Yeah, it's interesting, Mighty Supreme. It's probably another case of the one battle syndrome I had with this, where Timothy, I really loved in this film. I think
Yeah.
it's probably his best performance of his career, I would say. I think it's really hard knowing what competition he was up against in the back of my mind, which we'll come on to later.
Mm.
But I really liked Timothy's performance in this. I think for me, the film was so high octane. It had that ferocious pace that something like Challengers had with its tennis sequences that I really liked.
Yeah.
Um, I just feel the dog stuff went on slightly too long, and this is me being so nitpicky.
I think that was a tangent and a half, wasn't it? I was like, why are we going away to a random house to find the dog? And I think Abel Ferrara was in this, or Ferreira, who directed Bad Lieutenant, which is it's a classic.
Yeah,
And it was only after I watched Kermode's review that he said Abel Ferrara was in this. I was like, oh, that's who that was. Because I saw his face. I was like, I know who you are. I recognize you. I don't know why. But yeah, Abel Ferrara, legendary director in there. But yeah, I mean, the whole kind of the guy coming after his dog, all kind of the whole dog angle. I was like, are we sure we want to do this?
yeah.
But yeah, it was a bit odd.
Yeah, but and then I realised Penn Jillette was playing the owner of the farm.
Yeah,
That was so. I literally was
yeah.
like, after 5 minutes, I was like, "Was that Penn from Penn and Teller?" I was like, "Oh my God, it is." But yeah,
There you
that's a
go. The realization.
great cameo and very good soundtrack. I would say
Oh,
very
great
good
soundtrack.
soundtrack, one of the best of the year.
Exactly.
I'll go for my number six. I'm going to get ready for the disagreements to fly up again. I've gone for Eddington.
Oh, I can't remember seeing my whole family just rewatched Edinton a couple of days ago, and I didn't watch it with them because I couldn't be bothered. But other than that, I mean, my dad came away from that thinking it was good, but he's not sure if it was as good as the reviews had suggested. And yeah, my family gave that a watch, and they all thought it was okay, but they didn't love it as much as the reviews.
Mm.
Some of the reviews did, but yeah, they didn't make too much about it. I don't think so. Yeah.
I think the reviews for Eddington were good, but I wouldn't say they were great. I've got a
Oh no,
lot to
sorry,
say.
I'm getting
Yeah,
that mixed
yeah.
up with another film that's in the back of my mind. But yeah, in terms of something that kind of it was a lot of kind of it could have been more than it was. I think slightly for me,
Yeah,
but yeah.
definitely. There's a lot of freestyle reviews, I think, for Eddington, but I loved Eddington. I feel like it's
Mm.
the definitive COVID movie, to put it politely.
Yeah, true.
It's the very definition of throwing a lot at well, pretty much everything at the table,
Yeah,
and there's this really strong evocative nature of real life political failures. I think
yeah.
wherever you are, there's stuff in this film you will understand. I think particularly there's a scene at the start where Pedro's drinking in a bar without a mask that reminded me of Partygate for some reason. There's this idea of performative leadership,
Oh yeah, yeah.
of
It's poking the bear, isn't it? So yeah.
yeah, of Joaquin and Pedro. I can't believe I'm saying this. Almost being comparable to Boris Johnson versus Keir Starmer. But it's this idea. I think Astor in an interview, I wrote this down actually, that he says that this film that everyone wants to change the world, but fundamentally disagrees on how. And this is what
Oh,
the
that's
film
good.
stru and this is what the film structural spine is all about. And the power struggle, firstly, between our two leads, Joaquin and Pedro. I mean, Pedro has had a hell of a year. I've got sick of
Oh,
seeing his face over the summer
that's what
bar.
everyone's been saying. It's like he's been the busiest guy in Hollywood this year.
But it was this really interesting microcosm you got with this story of authority and moral posturing that was really good. There's a really good use of a Katy Perry song of a dramatic irony that I
Oh
thought was
yeah,
genius.
exactly.
I think with Asta's work as well, one of the things I always do, I always look up like explanation videos afterwards because then I
You
see so
have to do
much.
you don't you have to.
I see
Yeah.
so much details that I missed. I think one of the most interesting choices, particularly with Michael Ward, who plays a police officer of color,
Mm.
and they how they tackle the Black Lives Movement with his character.
Yeah.
Because what was interesting is seeing that movement portrayed through an emotional numbness of a
Yeah, true.
character who
Yeah,
was having this shouted at him and he just didn't react. I thought that was a
exactly.
real startling
I
point.
think I think with when you were talking about Mickey 17, I forgot to mention this, but Mickey 17 poked the Trump-sized bear, and I think this pokes the political bear just as much as Mickey does. Both films have the kind of nudge, nudge, wink, wink element to them. I think in terms of what they're
Yeah.
doing.
It's definitely, and I think it was really Joaquin is absolutely superb in this for
He's
me. I
good.
think
Yeah,
he's a mad obsessed with control, but I'll put it this way: the control disintegrates quite fastly. Probably one of my
yeah.
favorite endings of the year. It is an absolute chef's kiss for character
Oh, it's
work.
by it's. I think it's too it drags on a little bit towards the end. It's like okay, we get the point. When's this gonna come to an end? But up until then, there is a proper sucker punch ending as well. But it's a memorable one, isn't it? So yeah,
Yeah. Were you a fan of the final act, the final shootout?
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was I was on board for it. I was like, this is an appropriate amount of chaos and craziness. I think it works. Yeah, I liked it. I
I
liked it in the
think it
end.
was great to see what Ari Aster could do with a budget, to be honest, because I was blown away by how
Yeah,
sense
that's
it
true.
was of like wacky and getting shot, and but it really interesting as well for coming away because
Yeah,
the real villain of the film you could actually argue is technology,
true.
something that I've
Fake
really
news. Yeah,
yeah sort of how digital systems could just amplify paranoia illusions,
yeah.
and it's I'd argue Eddington it's probably Astor's film you can probably understand the plot the most,
Oh,
but at the same
true. So
time
much.
it's probably his least accessible film because it's a COVID drama.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
I
That's
loved
it,
it. I
isn't it?
loved it.
So this was a last minute panic, and I'll tell you just how much of a last minute panic this was when I do my next film. So number four. So my number five is Sinners, and this had
Yeah.
to be. If this wasn't in your top five, I would have let myself down. This has to be a top five film. But I haven't asked you this yet. But do you count this as a horror?
Uh, I wouldn't say I was scared by it as such, but I
Because
found it
because that's kind of
atmospherically compelling. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, because I think I've heard some debates now saying, look, is this a horror? Is this more of an action horror? I'm gonna go with action horror because it
Yeah.
has sort of that element to it. But I mean, we're getting to the time where now I've got paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of these stuff. But yeah, this it's kind of because I've heard it's yeah, I've heard people talk about horror and stuff, but this was an absolute milestone for cinema this year, I think, and in terms of yeah, this is still relevant in the conversation of why 2025 has been so good for horror. So I'll just blast through this. But all I can say is that we all need to bow down to Ryan Coogler now. I think we just need to kind
Yeah.
of all hail Ryan Coogler. I think he now has Hollywood wrapped around his finger as a result of this. And obviously, but what's that deal signed? He signed a deal about ownership of copyright of his films. It was I can't remember the specifics of it, but he signed a really historic deal with a company. The fact that he can now own a film for like years to come or something like that. Which there's a you'll have to look at this up in more detail. But he signed a really historic deal in terms of what it meant for original IPs and Hollywood and original stories and stuff. But yeah, I think there's a film that will come to there's a film will come to my number two that's been a financial smash hit this year, but that no one expected to be a financial smash hit. But this did even better than what that film did. So I think Sinners is the biggest surprise smash hit of the year. I think, with a budget of 90 million, which is as cheap as chips in the film business, but obviously is life changing for you and me. This did open to 48 million, which is good, but made 367 million. So people love this film. The
Yeah.
critics loved it, but audiences ate this up. Audiences loved this. But I think when I was covering Wake Up Dead Man for my Sparks show, I recalled how the Knives Out series will go down as one of the best and most successful original stories to have taken off in cinema. I think Sinners is another example of not only how important original ideas are, which is a completely foreign idea now. I mean, the idea of
Yeah.
an original film not based on any brand is like completely unheard of. but also how good they can be. So not only how important they are to make, but how good they can end up being. This it was far more patient than I expected it to be, and a lot more restrained. Again, coming back to the running time, it does put punches quite a lot. It kind of goes, we'll take our time to tell our story, and then when we get into the second half or kind of last bit of the film, we'll do the action, we'll do the excitement and stuff. But this kind of it's kind of you know what's coming up, but it's kind of it's the build up, the anticipation before the needle drops, and you go
Yeah,
right,
of course.
we're into the film now, we're into that part,
100%.
and all the time you knowing what's coming, but it's just the waiting and the waiting and the waiting until it hits. That's what I loved a lot about it. It's essentially from dusk till dawn for a new generation, and I think along with the zone of interest, which I need to rewatch, this has the best use of music I've ever seen and heard of as
Mm.
well. And when I first saw this, you talked about that musical set piece that was the one take thing. I wasn't sure what to make of that when it happened. I was watching it thinking, okay, that's a really creative idea to pull off, and it's a really creative vision to pull off. And I initially thought it might come off naff or silly, and it might come off silly to people. But boy, was I wrong, and boy, was I proven wrong. And the more I've thought about it, the more I thought that set piece is genius. That set piece is pitch perfect in terms of how it was executed and choreographed and stuff. And it was absolutely
Yeah,
perfect. And then it's also, I mean, this is also used IMAX cameras, IMAX format
yeah.
as well, and it looks incredible. Did you see this at IMAX?
No, I was going to ask you. I presume you saw this in IMAX, didn't you?
Of course, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I did.
any chance I've got of seeing a film in IMAX, I love IMAX is my favorite format. I love seeing a film in IMAX.
Yeah,
But this is the first film I've ever seen, which and you're production student. This is the first film I've seen which did a what's the word an in-scene transition to the IMAX format because
yeah,
whenever films
yeah,
are shot with IMAX, they do a cut and then you kind of change to IMAX. This stays in the camera and in the scene and doesn't cut away whilst the frame changes to the full IMAX format. And that's the first time I'd ever seen that been done. And for me, it worked to perfection. It was
yeah.
so
It's
good to
great.
watching the automatic transition when the action sequence kicks in. What and since are you a gamer? Are you not much of a gamer, are
No,
you?
not a game at all.
And for me, since I am a gamer, it reminded me of what playing the game, right? And you go from a cinematic scene into the gameplay. And me being a gamer, I was like, I feel like I'm playing a game now because you've gone from the cinematic cutscene into the gameplay, and it's the kind of the screen changing from the cinematic format to the full screen now when you
Yeah,
begin the thing. And we then saw Mission Impossible. Did you see it again? Did you see Mission Impossible
I
in
did
IMAX?
see that in IMAX. Yeah, that was
Right.
awesome.
And do you know the bit when that transitions to the IMAX format?
Yes, yeah,
When
I
Tom
know.
Cruise is literally pulling the lever,
Yeah.
and
Oh, it's
it's
amazing.
that
Yeah,
that was such a creative moment
yeah,
when the film goes. We'll transition to the IMAX, but when Tom Cruise is pulling like a wheel and lever,
yeah.
we'll use that scene to transition the scene to IMAX, and it was so good. But yeah, this is my last point, but
That's
this
fun.
is one of the best performances from the one of the best debut performances we've ever seen from first time actor in the form of Miles Catton. He's
Oh, yeah, yeah.
fantastic
He's
in
great.
this, and
It's
I think is I think he's got a best supporting actor nod for this. He's surely got a nomination in the bag, um, and he's arguably the best thing about this, and he sold that. And obviously the best performance by Michael B. Jordan, but also Delroy Lindo. Delroy Lindo
yeah,
is also
he's
great here,
phenomenal. Yeah,
and I think all the best sound categories are locked in for this. I mean, best score, best editing, best original song. Maybe I'm not too sure, but I'm surprised this wasn't lower down on my list as it was originally going to be. But in terms of a film that both critics and audience have just eaten up and loved
yeah.
in unison, a universally loved film that represents how good original ideas are and how important they are for Hollywood and how important they can be. This is up there. And Ryan Coogler, bow down to you. Bow down
Yeah.
to Ryan Coogler now. So, yeah.
His best film by a country mile, Sinners,
Yes,
is it's phenomenal. And the Young Actor Awards, yeah, 100%. Like I've always wanted younger actors to get recognised at the Oscars
exactly.
because they're always been equally as commendable. But yeah, Sinners
Yeah,
is great.
exactly.
Definitely am going to rewatch it if it comes to IMAX because Cineworld do an IMAX fest about April time. So I reckon Sinners will be
This
yeah,
came back for Halloween. I think
yeah.
this did the IMAX rounds because this was a massive IMAX hit. So they put it back out in IMAX. It was I think they did 70 millimeter as well. This was showing a 70 millimeter. So yeah, it's such a good time.
But we'll go for my number five. I'm laughing because I know this is going to cause controversy. So I apologize and I will
Yeah.
take on board. But my number five, had to get a big blockbuster in. I've gone for Avatar Fire and Ash.
Ooh, yeah. Well, everything's subjective. Life itself is subjective. We've got to accept that. We've got to move on. But
Yeah,
yeah, go. Yeah, go. I can see why you've done that. But
yeah.
yeah,
So it was interesting this one because I came out of it and I found this one initially quite hard to rank because I mean it's a long film to begin with.
yeah,
I mean
yeah.
it's 3 hours 17 minutes
I mean,
and
I went grey watching this. So yeah,
weren't a fan, but yeah, I think for Avatar there are some audiences who love Avatar and there's some
yeah.
audiences who don't connect with these characters. And
There's
for
no. I
me,
don't think there's any
yeah.
middle ground. There's no in between. You either go with or you don't.
And I'm one of those people who've gone with it. And that's why I
Yeah,
put it at number five. So, firstly, we kind of at the start of the film, we see uh, a big examination into what grief looks like for the Sullys.
yeah,
We see, I really quite liked how it allowed time for the emotional foot. Well, it's 3 hours
yeah.
17. Of course, it's going to allow time. Uh,
uh,
Emotional thought. It kind of just allowed itself time to breathe. I feel really weird saying reading my notes now because it's so stupid when it's 3 hours.
yeah,
Yeah,
true.
grief is something we've spoke. Probably will speak about it for a couple of the other films as well, but it's treated with a profound humanity that I really connected with. For what
Mm,
I know, it's about the Na'vi, but I actually found it to be a very humanly told story from the
true.
perspective that what grief looks like. And I will take on board that I know some people have compared this to be the exact same film as The Way of Water. But
Mm,
I feel
mm.
like Fire and Ash intensifies the drama in such a real thematic way.
I get what you mean.
I
Yeah.
think Loak's arc is really interesting. I know a lot of people don't like the young kids in the films.
Oh, oh.
Uh, but I really liked this idea of his search for belongingness and being
Mm,
accepted by Jake. I really like Sigourney Weaver as Kiri. I think she does not
yeah,
get enough credit because
yeah,
you have to think she's. I don't. I'm not going to say what age I think Sigourney Weaver is because I will embarrass myself getting wrong. But she's played like a young teenage character,
yeah.
and
She is. Yeah, yeah,
and her relationship with nature in this is expanded in a way that is very spiritual. There's a certain sort of the saga's plants and whatever you want to call it, the
yeah,
environment.
yeah.
I really
Exactly.
liked Rang, the new villain, Una Chaplin. I thought was really good. There's a volatile presence. I loved that there was such a commanding sense of her lighting up the screen. No pun intended. I did write that one down. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's motion capture is really interesting. Because I think it's wrong that we don't consider it in the same way as just acting. Because, like, for example, like Andy Serkis from
Oh,
War for the
as
Planet. Yeah,
you've read my mind with that one. I was
yeah,
just about to say that. I actually think not only should Andy Serkis, not only should he have been nominated for Gollum, he
yeah,
should have won for Gollum.
yeah.
How he didn't win, because the Academy still, I mean, they've only just recognized stunt performers in the stunt category, but recognized motion capture work has to be next. And I think Andy Serkis changed. I mean, Lord of the Rings changed cinema in so many ways, but Andy Serkis, he should have won. He should have won an Oscar for that. He just for Gollum. Yeah, he should have been recognized by them for that.
But yeah, it's just like there's a I think Zoe Saldana is like my favorite actress in these films. I think as Neytiri, there's a very maternal rage in this that is so
Yeah.
magnetic. You
Mhm.
feel how emotionally broken this character is at all
Yeah.
points. I think there's a genuine emotional investment I build up with these characters, oddly, because I mean I've got 9 hours with them. Might as well get
Oh
to know
yeah.
these
About
people.
now, about the time. Yeah.
This is actually probably my favorite of the three Avatar movies. Actually, this cost $400 million to make, which
Oof.
is it's taken a load of money. Probably going to see Avatar 4. What I'm going to say though is I really do not want to see the same villains back from Fire and Ash. I want to see
Are
a
we gonna
new set of
say?
characters.
Are we
Yeah,
gonna say what happened to Quidditch?
because I like this. I actually really like that Jake did not kill Quidditch off. Because spoiler
Mm,
alert, I mean, he's Stephen Lang's on the pass list for 4 and 5 anyway, so I kind of knew.
Mm.
But I liked Jake sparing Quidditch at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think yeah, it's about time we surely there's more. I mean, it's what I said in my review. There's more, surely more to explore. I think Quidditch. I think Cameron's kind of dragging him on a bit. I think introducing new tribes and stuff, but Quidditch. I think he's yeah. It's I mean the memes that have come out of this film about Quidditch and
it's just
Varan is like
grow
oh my.
up.
It's like yeah. I mean it's like the memes I don't want to repeat the memes that have been said because obviously we are kind of broadcasting in the sense I don't want to be too vulgar, but basically it's like Quidditch was angry at Jake for having relations with the Navi, and Quidditch does that in the third film. So it's like okay, so you're trying to blame him for having relations and stuff, but you've gone and done the same thing. But yeah, it's we'll see where four takes. I mean, this has made 1 billion.
I know. I mean,
So how much it needs to break even, I don't know.
I think I'm definitely for Avatar 4. I just would like some new characters now because I think
Okay,
especially after the comparison of 2 and 3, they definitely
yeah,
feel like one big movie. I'd be curious to watch them both back to back. Last thing
yeah,
I'll say for me, the final act of Fire and Ash's jaw dropping for me. I thought
yeah.
it had the gravity of a biblical war epic where there was so
Yeah,
much
I
intensity
get that.
going on.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, there was such a mass sense of scale where I was consistently feeling anyone could go at any given point here.
yeah.
It was really I really enjoyed it. I really want to see it again, but I don't know if I've
Mm.
got the time.
You got to fork out a whole weekend to see this one, so yeah.
Yeah, see it in like chapters. I definitely want to see Avatar because I saw it with my dad. We said we want to see them all at home and sort of split it
Yeah,
out like a TV series and see how it plays. But
yeah.
yeah, Fire and Ash is my number five.
Okay.
Controversial, but
Yeah, I'm glad people enjoy films. That's why we're here, aren't we?
yeah, why
So
we're here.
number four, this was a panic one. And when I said with Sinners, how this was a last minute decision, at 7:30 tonight, I realized this film was not on my list. And I had to switch around this with Sinners. Havoc. Gareth
Oh,
Evans,
okay.
Havoc.
I've got
And I
stuff to
got
say on
to
that.
I got to 7:30. I was getting things ready. I was like, Havoc's not on my list. Havoc's not on my list. So I literally rushed through my documents. I was trying to find the program which I did Havoc on. And I was literally like going through my notes saying, quickly put this in. But yeah, this is everything I wanted it to be. And now this is not only one of my favorite action films of all time, but one of my favorite films of all time now. And Gareth Evans
Yes.
is the greatest action director of all time. And I think the Raid is the best action film ever made. The Raid 2 is the second best action film I think ever
Oh,
made.
I disagree on that. I'd flip
Yeah,
them
I
around.
think the Raid. I think the Raid 2. I understand why people don't connect with the Raid 2 as much, but I think the Raid 2 has the final fight in the Raid 2 is incredible as well. But yeah, I mean,
Oh, it's
I
yeah.
think every minute piece of action in this is incredible, and yeah, I think the fights are as extraordinary as I want them to be, and I expect them to be. But it's the way Gareth Evans understands how action works. The way he
Yeah.
understands how to capture action is extraordinary, and the way he gives it to us is incredible. I think no other director in history has done action as well as him, has understood action as well as him. And we should be so lucky that we have a director who can direct action, who can give us action like he can. And I've never felt this full of adrenaline watching a film ever before, as is the case when I first saw the Raid 1 and the Raid 2. But yeah, I think I mean, martial arts cinema is my joint favorite genre alongside science fiction and horror now as well. And I think Gareth Evans, I want him to be more mainstream than he is. I think people need to discover who he
Interesting.
is.
Yeah.
And I think this is his most mainstream film. He's working with Tom Hardy, one of the biggest actors on
Yeah.
the planet. I think people need to know who Gareth Evans is. And my biggest of all the Hollywood projects in which have been cancelled that never saw the light of day, Gareth Evans's Deathstroke film. Oh, that was the fact.
Yeah.
I've never there's never been a time in which I've been
Yeah.
more heartbroken that a film got cancelled in my life. And an R-rated Deathstroke film from the director of The Raid, I'm gutted we will never see that, and I'm gutted we never did. And so, but as a result of that, obviously you don't play games, but one of my favorite games of all time is called Sleeping Dogs, which is GTA but with ninjas, basically martial arts version of GTA. That's getting a film adaptation. And I'm praying they tap Gareth Evans to do that because I'm like, a Gareth Evans Sleeping Dogs film would go so hard, and it's just everything about this was turned up to 11, and I loved it. But my biggest heartbreak about the film is that it was not theatrical released, and
Mm,
I think with this, it's everything. Yeah, it's there were production issues with this, and they went back out
yeah.
to reshoot for months at a time. And my question is how much this affected the theatrical release to this as well, and whether or not it was always going to end up on streaming or what. But I would have killed to see this in cinema, even if it was just a limited theatrical window. But even more than that, had this had an IMAX release, which was in my dreams, this was getting an IMAX release. This was never ever going to be an IMAX. But I would have camped out in the IMAX cinema and just watched this on repeat for however long I could have. But that's the thing about streaming. I do think it's kind of I think given the production issues with this, I'm glad we still have it because this could have easily been cancelled or shelved. But the fact that this week it made it to the screen, I was able to see it, I was able to review it, and this shows why I love action martial arts cinema. And I don't think anyone has directed martial arts. I mean, until it was who's the guy who did the Shadow Strays? Ilya something. The guy who did Nobody too.
Yeah.
Ilya.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
pronounce that second name, but
yeah, yeah.
he's just below Gareth Evans in terms of who Ilya, whatever his second, like Inurito or something like that. In terms of who I think is a worthy predecessor of Gareth Evans, another director who can balance, who can match Gareth Evans. He's just as good. But yeah, people need to see Gareth Evans for who he is and stuff like that. And I wish he's more mainstream than he was. But one of my favorite directors of all time are currently working today. Love the guy, love the film, and I almost came on your show and forgot this. And had I forgot this, I would have never forgiven myself. So I'm glad I remembered this last minute. I'm glad it snuck in there. But yeah,
Yeah.
last minute panic that was.
No, it's a good pick, and it's kind of reverses the Avatar cycle of, as we said, like why it's great to hear why films work for people, if they
Yeah,
even didn't work for me, because I won't go too negatively into Havoc because I think I've got issues with it.
yeah, yeah.
I've
I
got
think yeah, I think I see and understand the issues that people had, and I'm okay with that. So yeah,
Yeah, I think for me, this if this was 2.5 hours, I probably would have put this in the top 10. I just think family character it was juggling, it just felt a little bit messy at times. But I'm with you on Gareth Evans as a director. I think the Raid films are just incredible pieces of cinema,
yeah.
and they still hold up. They're like 10 years, 10, 15 years now.
Yeah, I mean the first one's just nuts and bolts,
Yeah.
like it just nuts and bolts as action cinema can get. So good, so good.
But I'll go for my number four now, which I'm shocked that this went as high up as it did. I don't know if you got I've got Nuremberg as my number four.
I haven't seen it, so yeah.
Right, I take this away. So this is a true story of a psychiatrist, Douglas Kelly, played by Rami Malek, who is tasked with assessing the psychological fitness of Hermann Goering, Russell Crowe, and essentially looking at the monstrosities in World War II, particularly with the Holocaust, and he's sort of examining if they're fit to deem trial.
Hmm.
Firstly, I'll ask you, have you seen Russell Crowe? He's been on a very big downward slope. Have you seen The Exorcism or The Pope's Exorcist?
No, no, I never saw those, but I'm aware of them.
Because I consider The Exorcism to be the probably one of the worst films ever made.
I think Russell Crowe knows that as well, to be honest.
Yeah, it came out after Pope's. I think it was made before Pope's Exorcist,
I can't
shelved.
remember which it was. Both of them came out side by side. It's just a matter of which one came first, I
Yeah, The
think.
Exorcism came last, and it's one of the worst. It's probably the most angry. It makes you it will make you never want to see an Exorcism film again. So,
Yeah,
but okay,
did you see the Ritual with Al Pacino?
yes.
That's made me not want to watch films for the rest of my life. That I tell you, honest to God.
The worst horror film this year than The Ritual, possibly, but we're not here to discuss that. I'd say so. This is really. This film's 148 minutes, and I know I took the piss with Avatar's 3 hours 17 length, but this really allows the film to breathe because it's a really measured inquiry into responsibility, not just focusing what has been done, but what continues to be ignored.
Mm.
For a World War II drama, I am shocked this feels as contemporary as it does with some of its themes.
Okay.
It's really about how sort of the architecture and pathology of evil can exist, and
Okay.
it's this idea of evil staring at you right in the face and you being in the room and understanding it. I think the relationship between Kelly and Goering is very unnerving at times.
Hmm.
It's like I said, it's that this notion of what evil is look like to stare
Yeah.
you right back in the face. I'll talk about performances because this is what really astonished me. Have you seen Mr. Robot with Rami Malek?
I think I only ever watched the first episode.
Okay, yeah, because I know a lot of people are a bit mixed on Rami Malek. Because this is
My dad, me and my dad were talking about Nuremberg last night, actually, or the night before that, and he hates him, or not hates him, but
yeah,
he doesn't like him. I was like, well, why don't you like him? He's like, I don't know, I just don't like him. Like
my dad doesn't
that's
like him either. So,
it seems to be such a general verdict people have on him.
but this to me, I would say is career best work for him film wise. I think
Wow, yeah,
he embodies this intellectual precision with Douglas Kelly and this suppression. There's a really good psychological toll he captures, particularly when he gets to know who Goering is as a person. Now, Russell Crowe, it's interesting here because Russell Crowe's playing a German and he's got a German accent. And initially, when I went into this, I was like, after your last two films, Russell, oh God, it's what I was expecting. Not, but what I liked was the small little nuanced gestures of Crowe's performance. So there'll be things like in a courtroom where Goering will stand up later than everyone else just to show he's above and beyond. So there's quite a chilling persistence here.
mm,
But Malik and Crow on screen together, because a lot of the first half is about sort of Kelly and Goering's relationship with each
yeah,
other. It is so tense to watch. Like
yeah,
the escalation, it's charged with tension, but it never felt like a theatrical performance or anything like that.
sure,
It was just really terrifying to watch this notion of an interrogation play off and well, Kelly can't win essentially, and
mm,
you've got some really good other cast members in this. You got Michael Shannon who's in
yeah,
this. You got Richard E. Grant who's in it. It's a huge
wow,
cast, but uh, I think James Vanderbilt's depiction of the trial because what I love about how long the film is you see the whole build up and you see the trial itself. It's not
right,
like it doesn't feel like it's factual as but such. We sometimes you see with true stories, it feels like it gives you the weight you need.
yeah.
You don't need to like think I barely know anything about the case. It's a real learning experience for me. I think the historical enormity of it's huge. I mean, do you know much about like Goering and Douglas Kelly in general out of interest?
I know zero,
It's
absolutely
my
nothing.
point, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, but it's just I loved how long the film was because it just gave it time to breathe. It's this really measured inquiry into accountability, and my God, the ending is devastating because it
yeah,
really reminds us that evil's not only like provoked, but it could always be transcribed throughout history. I'll put
mm.
it that way. But it's superb. It was just a stunning piece of work. This,
Well, that might have to be on my list. That so
yeah,
timing's quite bad because my uncle he gave it a watch and he hated it, and my dad was like, my dad told me about that, and I was like, oh, okay. He didn't take. So I'll have to check that out for myself and see what the crack's about with that
it's
one.
superb. It's brilliant.
Right. Well, I have to keep that a note. So it's going to get interesting now. We the
Yes,
top
yes.
threes are always
I
going to
think we
kind of
might have
get
some
dirty now.
repetition here. Yeah.
Right. So my number three is I swear.
My
I
number three
swear
is
is my.
also I swear.
Here we go.
Hey.
Okay. So yeah, I think if you're number three, I think I know what your first two are, but yeah. So Robert Oromeo, yeah,
Yeah.
he's our pick for best actor.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
is
The
our pick
joint
for
pick on
best
this
actor.
podcast. Yeah.
I think I can't remember the last time I was this knocked out by a performance in a film. I was like in a coma after this. The film itself, I think Robert Oromeo makes this film what it is.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for
100%.
his performance, the film would be just as good if it wasn't for his if his performance wasn't in this film, would this be as good as it is? I don't think so. I think um yeah, this it's I was not an absolute whirlwind of emotions during this. As of recent, I do. I sometimes I'm in a never-ending pattern of going into films with the knowledge that they've been well received and they're not liking the film. But I had kind of I knew this had been well received. I was like, oh, here we go again. But this knocked me out completely from beginning to end. But I swear, I swear, does so much more than offer a phenomenal performance at centre. Robert Aramayo completely transforms himself and does deliver the best Scottish accent I've ever seen anyone give or
Yeah,
ever
it's
heard
great.
anyone give. Um, and he delivers such a raw and profound emotion in a way that I didn't expect or see coming. And there are moments in this in which he's showing emotion and kind of showing his struggles and stuff that I was like, you are just a masterful work. You just completely understood the assignment on this one. Um, and it's sort of it's a film that has such an intelligent, powerful, and lovely understanding of its topic that I was
Yeah,
beyond overpowered
yeah,
by it. And with films like this, with certain conditions, obviously Tourette syndrome, as is the case here, you have to take great care and consideration in making it in terms of how you research the role and you research the condition, how it is you do the role. But both in terms of I think appropriate accuracy, but also emotional investment for the film, you've got to be true to kind of scientific accuracy if you want to say that, but also you got to deliver a film, you've got to deliver the performance. But what's so important, what's impressive here, is how funny the film is in areas. And for a film about the importance of recognizing and raising awareness of Tourette's, it knows where, when, and how to also explore the humorous side of it. And
yeah.
the car scene, I refer to it as the car scene.
Yes,
Um, I was in stitches, and everyone
yes.
else around me was in stitches, and it's probably the riskiest part of the film in terms of we're going to try and do this comedic set piece, but how well it gets away with it is so much to the film's credit. And I was wetting myself with laughter, and so was everyone else around me. But it was a risky scene to do. But the fact that it worked and it was as funny as it was, it's just a reflection of how good the film was as a whole. And sort of because obviously Tourette's syndrome is known to elicit laughter as a
Yeah.
natural response. It's people giggle at Tourette's, and that's kind of what the film does address. But for me, Robert Aramayo, it just knocked me out cold during this. I was welling up, and I was so it's the most emotionally invested I've been in a film this year. And Robert Aramayo is my pick for best actor, and thankfully you agree as well on this.
I do agree. Yeah, shall I go into it a bit more? Okay, so Robert
Yeah,
Aramayo, I was floored watching this performance. I think, firstly, for how he actually portrays the Tourette's, like the
it's
seamless ability to go in and out was like, I it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's just there was
you
such
you
an
but you believe he has it, don't you?
yeah,
Believe
I
he's
did
he has
yeah.
it.
It's a really good way to put it, and there's almost a sincerity behind the performance where you as a viewer just want to instinctively reassure the character like it's going to be okay.
Oh,
It's
completely.
that vulnerable. And I want to also shout out Scott Ellis Watson, who played the younger John in the opening.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
God, that was just you really properly felt vulnerability for this character. What was really interesting for me, I know you talked about the car scene, which I thought was hysterically well written. I thought it was this really lovely moment of shared freedom, which I thought was
Mm,
genius. Uh,
mm.
I actually think that the film, despite the marketing, it's got its comedic moments for me, particularly the opening with the gag at the Queen. I think is so hysterical. But it's not what you think it is, this film. I was going in, I
No.
think a lot of the laughs are in the trailer, I will say
Yeah,
that. But its true focus for me is what British cinema is about, of compassion, acceptance, and resilience.
yeah.
I knew not a lot about Tourette's before I
Mm.
saw this film, but I felt like I had such an eye-opening depiction
Oh, yeah, yeah,
as it felt so educational and it had so many moments of like profound uplift, which is so hard to do once in a film, let alone multiple times.
yeah, yeah.
So I've got the Peter Mullen court scene where John is defended, and that was really lovely. I want to talk about Maxine Peake's Dottie, who I thought was phenomenal in the film.
Gee, yeah.
That there's a moment where Dottie, her character Dottie, says to John, "You don't need to apologize because you don't apologize for something you can't control," which I thought was
Mm,
just so heartwarming.
mm.
The final library sequence, oh my
Oh my
goodness, yeah,
word.
so
Uh,
cathartic in making it. It's when you see John's story, it's just so beautiful, I would
mm,
argue. Uh, it's just such a powerful story. A lot of what you said already is kind of what I got in my notes, but
yeah, it's gonna.
it's just I was so uplifted watching this.
Mm,
It's so life affirming. It's just you come
yeah,
away feeling inspired. You've got glimmers of hope. It for how sad the film is, and it's not afraid to hold back as well.
no.
Uh, Particularly with some very uncomfortable scenes where John is being mocked. You really feel for John, and you're just so
Yeah,
uplifted
it's
by his
just
story.
these societal consequences of people who. I mean, this is based in the 80s and 90s, and I didn't know that Tourette's wasn't a thing. That's why his family is so outraged by it because Tourette's was not a recognized thing back in the 80s and stuff. And so that gives you a history lesson in terms of how people came to be aware of Tourette's and people thinking, oh, he's just faking it. People thinking Tourette's isn't real. He's just choosing to swear and do all these things. But that's not the case. It's like holding back a sneeze, as he puts
Yeah,
it. And I think that's what everyone with Tourette's. Whenever I've watched interviews with people with Tourette's, and they get asked what's the feeling like, everyone says it's like holding back 1,000 sneezes, and you go, oh, how awful that must be. So I just one of the biggest surprise of the year for me, just
yeah.
an overwhelming experience.
I was just floored by it, and I'm so glad that we've got it at the same position. Because
Yeah.
I'll be honest, going it was hard to not say, oh, we're probably going to talk about Robert Our Mayo on the podcast because I just knew in the back of my mind that as soon as you said it with when you compared it to Timothy Chalamet, I was like, okay, we're going to be talking about this next week. Yeah,
We are
so
indeed. Yeah.
but yeah, I swear number three for sure. Do you want to go for your number two then, mate?
Yeah. So number two is part one of the reason why 2025 has been the best year of horror ever for me. Is Weapons for me
Oh,
is number two.
thank God you picked that. You're not the other way around.
So yeah, this is the joint best piece of horror I've ever seen, and the best mainstream horror I've ever seen in terms of mainstream to indie. But I think horror is now my joint favorite because the weapon does something else. Horror is now my joint favorite genre alongside science fiction and martial arts cinema. I think back in 2017 when Jordan Peele randomly decided to do a horror film for no reason with Get Out, um, and I still believe is the greatest debut film of all time, maybe in terms of just completely out of left field, out of the blue. Um, but yeah, Jordan Peele went from doing comedy to horror, and then demonstrated how comedians seem to be able to do horror really, really well. But yeah, since and then Get Out was a smash hit, made all the so much money, and so yeah, this kind of demonstrated the fact that anytime a comedian is going to do a horror film or comedian's going to sort of try to do horror, we need to pay attention to what he's going to do because it could turn out great. That's what's happened here, and I think the same in terms of comedy horror. Directors and writers who seem to be able to do it well are Sam Raimi and Edgar Wright, and I think Sam Raimi is the king of all kind of comedy slash horror, in that just managed to get the two balances perfectly well. And obviously Edgar Wright with Shaun of the Dead as well. But obviously with Zach Kreger, he's come from a comedic background, burst onto the scene with Barbarian. And Barbarian was a real it was a real shocking experience. It was quite visceral,
Yeah,
jumpy,
it
and
was.
violent. And I was like, wow, this guy can really do horror. The way that this guy does horror really has got my attention. But with weapons, we need this. He's the real deal now within horror, and we need to pay attention to what he does
Yeah,
next because I think he 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 seems to be able to do it really well. But there are two moments towards the end of this which got a laugh out loud reaction in my showing. Just as loud as, let's say, Naked Gun this year and other comedies like that. But the fact that there are moments that are as funny that are as funny as they are in the film that has moments that are scary and violent as they are is really something. I think Zach Kreger is the best to have transitioned genres, and
mm,
it does seem to be a staple of his how Barbarian did this in terms of Barbarian was a film of such mixed moods. It had like light, kind of not light-hearted kind of stuff, but kind of had both gory, jumpy, disturbing horror alongside light-hearted nature and kind of not comedy, but the two going hand in hand. It does seem to be a staple of his, the fact that he can balance the two really well. But I don't think I've ever been this disturbed or kind of a film got under my skin as much as this, like from a film in a cinema in my entire life, which is why this is possibly the scariest film I might have ever seen, but maybe that's kind of up for contention. But this is certainly one of the scariest films I've ever seen. And I came to that conclusion because of the way two set pieces made me feel. One of them is like a dream sequence that really
Mm.
kind of startled me from out of nowhere,
Yeah.
that properly made me jump. But the real kind of moment is when our central character, is it Julie Garner? Julia Garner?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
When she sat in a car by herself at night and you see something happen around her and you see something take place in the background. And it didn't jump me, but I can't remember the last time I felt disturbed kind of shivers down my spine that much in a film. And I can't remember the last time I was like, that is really kind of making me feel cold and really disturbed and stuff. But I think the set pieces in general are superb. Some of them are horror related, like the one
Yeah.
like this kind of it's not a dream sequence, but it takes place at night. But the other are more action based, but some
Mm.
of them are some of the best action set
Yeah.
pieces that I've seen all year.
Yeah.
And Zach Cregger seems to be able to handle horror well, but the way he's directed action in this is just blown me away. I mean, there's a car chase in this that I thought was superb, and in terms of you can direct horror superbly, you can direct action superbly. What
Mm.
can you not do? But yeah, it's just like yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dream sequences going on here, and every time you see a character asleep, I'm like, we need to prepare for a jump scare, we need to prepare for a scary sequence. But then they wake up and nothing happens. I was like, it's maybe quite over reliant on dream sequences, but that's just the start of the film, really. But yeah, it from us, yeah, it managed to get under my skin more than I thought, and I love it's kind of I don't mean from a when I love horror does this, it doesn't jump scare you, but makes you feel disturbed and creeped out. And the fact that I was frightened without the use of jump scares is important. And it's an 18 for strong violence, strong bloody violence and gore, and you get that in buckaloads here. And I was wincing, properly wincing at some of it, and my show and people gasping quite a lot.
Mm.
But yeah, this is part one of why I love horror so much, and I loved every part of this film.
Yeah, it's interesting weapons. Do you remember my reaction when I came out of weapons? It's quite. I do remember it.
How did you react again?
I think I said it was the most deflated 4 stars I'd ever given.
Yes, it comes back to me.
Um,
Yeah, cool. It rings the bell. Yeah,
yeah, so I think weapons to me was quite extraordinary with the chapters, sort of like this
yeah,
build up to this. Why did all these children vanish? Mystery. As you say, I'm really glad it like affected you the way it did because I think it's
yeah.
definitely found an audience, maybe more
Oh yeah.
so than it has for
And
me.
it's this is the other film. When I was talking about Sinners, this is the other film that was a smash hit with audiences and critics. Like the fact that everyone's universally loved this. This was the other part, the other film that's done just as well as Sinners did, or just below Sinners, really.
Yeah, I think for me, weapons was extraordinary right up until the reveal, if you want my honest opinion.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I was loving so much the mystery element that I almost
yeah,
kind of wish it wasn't a horror as such. But
yeah.
that's just me out of whatever $1 million the film made at the box office.
It
So
was.
clearly,
I've just looked this up. It is. It did $38 million budget, 43 opening weekends. So it's already a success.
yeah,
269 million.
that's staggering.
So
That's really good,
yeah,
especially for a horror this brutal. A really good cast. I love Julia Garner, Josh Brolin were fantastic. I loved particularly the cop storyline and the drug kids, the way they were interwoven. That was when
yeah,
I was really started to get jacked up, and then
yeah,
and then the final act came. Oh God, Zach Cregger didn't nail it for me quite in the end. Did you
yeah.
prefer this to Barbarian?
Oh yeah. Oh
Ah, okay,
yes.
interesting.
I rewatched Barbarian the night before seeing this, and Barbarian was more flawed than I remember. It was. I showed it to my dad, who I saw Weapons with my dad, and I said to him, "We'll watch Barbarian before we see Weapons because you got to see it." And he was like, "Yeah, it's okay, but it's quite silly and it lose." I thought Barbarian lost its way in the final 20 minutes so much. It's the most. It's the most like how do I put this? In terms of a film that completely loses its way most I've ever seen in my life, Barbarian did that. It was doing well up until the last 20 minutes, which completely derailed it for me.
Interesting.
Well,
Interesting.
not completely derailed, but went from 4-star film to 3-star film, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a fascinating one, Zach Kroger. It's been, as you say, it's been the original horror this year. I've never seen so many original horror movies, which is so nice to
yeah.
see, and I'm hoping we see more this year. I don't know what's coming up original horror wise soon, but yes.
I mean, Primate's coming out, and there's a
Oh, I
film
forgot
called
about Primate.
and that might be the next Secret Screaming. But I'll have to see. But the reactive reviews about that, of the reviews are fantastic for that. So fingers crossed.
Troy Coaster's in here. I really like from Coda, so
Yeah,
I'm looking
exactly.
forward to that one.
Yeah. Hmm.
So my number two, I'm gonna admit a little confession now that I've broken the rules,
Ah,
as I
yeah.
did
I'm not.
say.
One of us had to do it. I
Yeah.
think one of us did have to do it.
But I did this because I was always having these films quite closely tied, and I almost was like, I want to get Sorry Baby in there. So I say why I've done it before I reveal. So I found both films that I'm going to tell you now to be more experimental and experiential rather than
Mm,
character driven in the traditional sense.
yeah.
Both films ask you as a viewer to endure a system rather than really understand it.
Yeah.
So they're almost functions of high pressure cinematic environments. And I think these two films are some of the most immersive films of the year. So my joint two is Warfare and Late
Mm,
Shift.
wow. There you go.
Should I do, I do Late Shift, but have you seen Late Shift yet?
Lake Shift. I'm trying to. I might have to look this up while you're talking about it, actually. Lake Shift. It rings a bell. It'll take me 2 seconds to remind me of it anyway.
Yeah, but this follows basically the single night of a young nurse working in an understaffed hospital
Yes,
ward.
yes, 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 yeah.
Uh,
I'll think of a different film.
But Petra Volk's writing, I actually was able to send my review over to Petra herself, which was really nice for me. She was
Mm,
really touched by what I said. What I loved about Late Shift was that it balances sort of empathy with unflinching truthfulness of what it's like for a nurse.
yeah.
What I loved is that it's not a film that's like none of these films are really character driven as such.
Mm,
They're more based on an experience of you have 90 minutes with these group.
okay.
Uh, the film I love Late Shift for how it humanized every patient our nurse encountered because it did never made them feel like a medical abstraction plot device. It actually made distinctive needs. There's a lot of dignity in it. I think
Yeah.
the patient encounters are superb. There's this really nice moments where the nurse is singing with a patient. There's another gag involving a watch being thrown out of a rich man's window that I thought was hysterical.
Mm,
But the moments they never exist in isolation. There's always an unbearing emotional toll presence, and that really sticks through the rest of the film.
mm,
Leonie Benesh, I'm probably butchering that,
mm.
who was in September 5 as well
Okay.
this year.
Oh yeah.
She was remarkable in this. I think it was very
Yeah.
much a performance that embodies resilience. It's not really got much of a soundtrack either, similarly to Warfare, which just forces you to live inside this hospital ward. It prioritizes experience, but it places you inside a system
Yeah.
under unbearable strain. But I absolutely loved it. And
Perfect.
Warfare, God, this was probably the loudest movie I've ever seen in cinemas.
I'm gonna cheat now. Actually, I'm gonna whack Warfare my honorable mentions. I completely forgot about Warfare stupidly, but I think Warfare for me has got to be it's up there in the honorable mentions. I came away thinking I need to lie down. I need to just lie down and just not do anything. It's just such a wave of one of the loudest films I've ever seen in
Yeah,
cinemas.
it's
Yeah,
I saw this the same day as Sinners. What a double bit! That best double
oof.
bit of the year.
I think
Uh,
I remember you saying you doing that as a double bill. I was like, you cannot have a better double bill than that.
but this is it's co-directed by Alex Garland, who I am such a huge fan of. Alex Garland.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, what do you think of Alex Garland's Men? Have you seen it?
Oh, I really like Men. I've not
I
seen it
liked
since
Men
it
as
came
well.
out.
Yeah, I
I
liked.
really liked it. It's an experimental one, really strange one.
Yeah,
I think I've been wanting to rewatch that for a while now, to be honest.
but I'm loved all of Alex Garland's films as
Yeah.
director, and it's also co-directed by a Navy SEAL, Ray
Yes. Yes.
Mendoza, which I think is quite extraordinary,
That's the
actually.
key aspect there.
Yeah, because this film, this Warfare, you might have seen similar films to it, but what I love is that it's built on the conceit that everything you see is based in rooted memory,
Yeah.
and it makes the experience far more harrowing than it feels like a dramatization. What
Yeah.
I loved was how it established the group dynamics with the song at the start, Call on
That
Me.
was great. It's one of those moments we go, "Am I in the wrong film here?" or something like that.
Yeah,
So
you do,
yeah,
you do. But I loved. I know some people have said this is a weakness, but I actually think the lack of a geopolitical, a political, God, that's a big word, context is really a strength because the
yeah.
film's solely concerned with what it's like to be on the front line and what it feels like.
I think the same thing. I think the same thing was with I felt Top Gun Maverick in that politically it was
Same.
very. It was like it's like it's politically it's not going for it. It's just kind of lightly inferred in the background, really.
But it just this brutally honest depiction of what
Mm,
warfare's like. I thought there's some amazing performances as well. A lot of actors get to shine in this. We've got Joseph Quinn, we've got Will Poulter, we've got Cosmo Jarvis, who I just think are all absolutely superb.
yeah.
It is a very big sensory overload, but got to talk about the sound design by Glenn Fremantle and Ben Barker. Oh my God, I've never jumped so loud at the tank explosion in my
Oh
life.
yeah, I get you. Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's not even a jump scare as well. It's like well, it is a jump scare, really, isn't it? So
Yeah, but it's a relentless exercise. It probably got a lot higher than I thought because yeah, it's just embodiment more than anything. Both of Warfare Late
perfect.
Shift, they both make you experience the brutal realities of what it's like as a nurse, but also what it's like on the warfield. Both have got really good closure as well. Would add
Yeah,
that. Some
yeah,
facts
exactly.
about nursing at the end of Late Shift that will shake you to the core, and the
Hmm.
warfare there, the continued facts that do shake you. But Garland is
Exactly.
just, he's one of my favorite filmmakers working
He's,
today.
he's he's great. Yeah, yeah. He sort of pay attention to what he does next because he does bang after banger, doesn't he? So yeah,
It's hard to tell what my favorite Alex Garland film really is because they're so different.
yeah. He's got such a wide range. So it's like you can't pick one. So
But so number one, and I think we've both got the same number one here.
yeah,
You want to
right. I
reveal
mean,
it? Yeah.
my favorite horror film of all time is Bring Her Back. Oh, I just
Yes.
honestly, this is also like my experience of watching this was ruined by people behind me, and I saw this at a secret screening, and me and my dad went along. We both said to each other, "We're hoping it's Bring Her Back." Then it came on screen, and we're both like, "Yes." Then three people behind us started talking all the way through. We're like, "We waited so long for this film," and the people behind us would not shut up, but did not take away from my experience at all of this, and I lost for words really. I don't know what to say really, but this is a masterpiece that puts most modern horror to shame. This is what horror films need to aspire to be like, and I'm of the age and generation, so are you as well, in which I remember Danny and Michael Philippou when they broke onto the YouTube scene. They were known as
Yeah.
Raka Raka, and I remember them. I remember I watched a couple of their stuff, and they collaborated with the Sidemen. But basically, what these guys did is they did kind of stunt videos. They did short films, but they specialized in stunt action and stunt kind of work and stuff. And they kind of just burst onto the YouTube scene doing these short films, but they did practical effects, practical filmmaking. And I never considered them to be Hollywood directors. Never once. I think you guys can make it in Hollywood, but they came back to the spotlight with Talk to Me, and I saw Talk to Me, and I was like, oh, this is from the guys called Waka Waka. I didn't know they were doing films now. Saw Talk to Me, and I was aware of what their expertise was. I was aware of where their skills were. And Talk to Me in a year of Barbenheimer, Barbie and Oppenheimer, Talk to Me was my best and favorite film of that year. And I saw Talk to Me, I was like, I am so on board with these guys as filmmakers. I am paying attention to what these guys do next so much. And then Bring It Back comes out, and it's not as kind of it's a lot more restrained and laid back than Bring It Back. His Talk to Me is much more about kind of scare shock value than Bring It
Mm.
Back is, but Bring It Back just exemplifies why they are so good at what they do. The physical violence, the physical effects, the physical horror is the best you'll ever see within horror. The way that you feel pain, the way that they do characters inflicting pain upon themselves, and physical effects, physical sound effects. You've never seen anything done like this,
Mm.
like this before, and deeply, deeply, deeply troubling, alarming, nasty film. And without wishing to go into too much detail, there's a moment where a character sticks a knife in their mouth, and you can fill in the blanks in terms of what they do and stuff. And it's just utter shock value.
Yeah,
But yeah, the way that they make practical effects make it look in capture in camera is staggeringly impressive. But in terms of orchestrating just normal scenes, these guys can capture emotion so well in a scene. The way that they make normal scenes look kind of normal scenes of characters talking. We're talking about how good they are at stunt work and practical effects and practical violence. But when it comes to making a normal scene in a normal film with two characters talking, I've very rarely have I seen such subtlety and such kind of patience done with a film like this ever before. And yes, you can make the violence in the film look good and you can make the practical stuff look good, but show me why you guys deserve to be filmmakers. Show me why you guys have a future in cinema, a future in filmmaking. And this demonstrated to me that the way that they showed grief and the way that they showed patience and the way that showed emotion and the cinematography in this was so well done
yeah,
between characters. And as 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 YouTube stunt guys go, these guys can make it in Hollywood. These guys can
mm,
do normal scenes. These guys can prove to be proper filmmakers instead of just stunt guys, instead of guys that just orchestrated in like sort of practical work. But I'm so glad we're on the same page with this. Which was, I mean,
yeah,
this is the one film. Oh yeah, we've been on the this is the one film as well as I swear, which
mm,
we've been looking forward to most talking about,
yeah.
and yeah,
I'll go for mine on this because I actually got to see this before you. I remember this really well.
yes, you did,
I was in
yes.
holiday in Florida and I saw
I
that
was so jealous of you, by the way. Oh my god,
this was playing at I think it was Disney Springs. I saw it. There was like a
right.
half 9 showing like the last few days, and I was like, oh God, just try and see it. And I lucky enough did. And then we just went to one of the Disney parks after. God, do not go to a Disney park after you see this film. But yeah, so I saw this back in Florida. Actually, it was really interesting because I did not expect this to be my number one of the year. In all honesty, I sort of had,
Mm.
I, I see I might have seen the teaser. I don't know if I saw the main trailer. I went in pretty blind, which is what I wanted. Um, but when I saw this in Florida, and I was just, well, firstly, we'll talk about the knife scene as you mentioned earlier. I actually audibly gasped to myself, and I just was trying not to exclaim out loud because I just did not see that coming at all. It's probably one of
Oh.
the scariest scenes I've ever seen in a horror movie
And
ever.
I can't do. I can handle gore and extreme gore in films, but I can't do. And I've said this to you numerous times: teeth, fingernails, and toenails. I
Yeah,
can't do anything to do with that. And thankfully, this doesn't do fingernails or toenails, but does do teeth. And I was like, nope, 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 not doing it, looking away. And all I heard over my hand covering my face, all I heard was the characters screaming. All I heard was the people around me gasping. And that's what you want from an experience, isn't it?
100%. I think it was quite quiet when I saw it just because it had been out in America for a bit. And then
Mm.
I also went to see this with my mate when I was back from holiday, and he also had the same reaction. He said, instantly turned to me and said, "It's that. Well, that's 5 stars." And he also a big fan of Talk to Me. Interested with the Filippo brothers because Talk to Me I really liked, and it did not make my top 10 list of that year.
Ooh, wow, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
Um, but I thought this was the best horror film of the decade for me. There's a
Mm.
lot to go into. I think
I think that
now
this will
it's
be on
yeah,
my list of the best of the decade. 100%. 100%.
100%. Narratively, it's this kind of this slow burn horror following these two young siblings, Andy and Piper, after the death of their fathers. They go to live with Laura, played by Sally Hawkins, and there's this whole underlying thing with a ritual. Laura's
Yeah.
daughter's died, and it's like, how do we bring her back? No pun intended. But
Yeah.
what's so good about this is that it's the ritual really is not the film. It's really a
No, it's
much
not.
more devastating exploration of grief, trauma, and desperation.
Mm.
I thought some of the character work here was extraordinary. I think every character in this. We'll talk about some of the young performers actually before we talk about the main attraction because Billy Barrett as Andy, I was utterly mesmerized by his performance. I was
Mm.
utterly very emotional as well watching
Yeah.
it. particularly with how his arc evolves as the film goes on. I think Saw Wong as the sibling Piper was phenomenal. I love the legitimacy of how the Filippo brothers they cast actors who are close to the age of their characters. There's such
Yeah.
a legitimacy arc, yeah. And Jonah Wayne Phillips as Connor Bird. Oh my goodness. It's one,
He's one of the best child performances I've ever seen.
yeah,
Just
it's and when you watch the film a second time, you will just see how much of Connor is in there all the time. There's always a bit of Connor no matter what.
yeah,
Knife scene we've spoken about, but it's just every character in this really intricate look at grief of what a father and also a daughter from
mm,
Sally Hawkins' character's perspective, how they can shape human beings and how they can inhabit the space that they're currently living in. And
yeah.
it does it in one of the most terrifying ways I've ever seen because honestly, when this film gets like into the last act, I was just like, oh my God, because it's not just the knife scene, there's other moments. I won't spoil them, but they're just like, oh, can you
You've
just
never
slow
seen
down? Yeah.
physicality in film done as well as this, and I knew. I mean, with Talk to Me, there was moments early on in which the physical effects, the physical stuff was so it stood out to me so much. And if you want a film which you feel the pain, feel the effect of it, feel what the characters are doing, get the Philip brothers. And also, do you know that they were in line to do the Street Fighter film?
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, I mean, I would have loved a Street Fighter film. I mean, these guys need to do. I'm talking about Gareth Evans more needs to do more in the spotlight.
Yeah.
These guys wait till the mainstream sees these guys. These guys need their kind of they kind of need the big break. I think they need to be picked for a film they to show the world the Philip brothers. I think in
Yeah,
the end.
I completely agree. It's a cardinal sin that this will not be in the Best Picture contest, or I
Yeah,
mean, we'll talk about let's talk about Sally Hawkins.
yeah. I mean, I think reflecting on it now, this again might not happen, but for me, it'll be if there's going to be competition, Jennifer Lawrence versus Sally Hawkins. But neither, I don't think either are going to get a
No,
nomination for this.
no,
To be
it
honest,
doesn't seem it. No, but if you thought Mrs. Brown in Paddington was really warm and cuddly, just watch this and then just come back to me
and the
because
fact that
it's
she can do two of these, it's like you were that person in Paddington. I don't believe it for a second.
what I think so good about her character as well as the other characters is that there is obviously a villainous intent behind actions in the film, but
Yeah.
actions are always driven by pain. There's a very empathetic nature, I think, to Sally Hawkins' character,
Mm,
a lot more than you may understand on first viewing, because the first
yeah.
time I saw it, I was just like, my God, what is she doing? And
Mm,
then I was like, at the second viewing, I was like, oh, it changes your perception a bit, actually. So I
exactly.
definitely recommend to see it twice, actually. I think it's just so rare to see a horror film that's able to balance such terror with tenderness at the same time.
Terror. That's a great. That put that on the poster. Terror with tenderness. That is absolutely what you need. That is it. 100%. I think this is A24. I think,
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and it's like, well, they are like they've come such a long way. And it's just like if you want like gems, hidden gems that are like going to break it out. A24 is what it is. But yeah, so yeah, it's obviously the 18 certificate as well, so all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's looking through my sort of notes and stuff. There's just so many categories that I've like touched upon and stuff. But yeah, sort of, I came away from this thinking, um, yeah, I mean, the Oscars have notoriously and historically never been kind to horror. And it's
no,
going to be the same thing again with this. This is not going to get the recognition, and this is just not going to get. This is not going to get any kind of awareness and attention really. But yeah, I mean, I'm desperately want the Philip brothers to kind of come into the spotlight. I mean, it's kind of me saying that's like, oh, they're not picking correct films to do, but I'm hoping they get their big break, and I'm
yeah,
hoping they get the big chance and stuff. But yeah, I'm glad we were kind of that was going to be always my number one. I think I came away from Havoc being dead set that was going to be my number one,
yeah,
and I knew part of me wondered that I was like I knew that I'd go back on my word, but I did, and so this year has reminded me. This year, 2025 has made me decide that horror is one of my favorite genres, whereas before it wasn't that much. But now horror one of my favorite genres. And 2025 is why that is. So
I think
just
it's
completely.
it's it's so good because a lot of these I found like previous years I put horror films on the list, but they've never quite like made the top three. I mean, to
Yeah.
have not only an A24 film win, but a horror movie win as the front runner, it's just unbelievable.
I think the last time that happened was Silence of the Lambs. That was
Mm.
91,
Yeah.
maybe early 90s. And will it ever happen again? Probably not.
Mm.
But I think will Weapons get a Best Picture nod? I don't know. But time will, I mean, as always, I'll be glued to the Oscars ceremony this year. And
Yeah.
it won't go the way we want, which is how they always go. But I think, yeah, this year has been the F hall, but it won't make a difference. It won't recognize but it won't get recognized by the Academy. But Roll On March is kind of all I can say, really.
100%. And
Yeah.
it was just, I'd ask you this last question. Do you think that Bring Her Back's got the best horror ending of the year?
Yes, I do, because
Yeah.
it's such after everything was building up to, there's nothing, again, we've alluded to this already, there's nothing worse than watching a film and then it can't stick the landing. Bring Her Back was building up to the moment, please stick landing, please stick landing. And then this has such a sucker punch at the end of like, it was so emotional as well. It kind of, you were watching a whole film and it was nasty, violent, creepy, scary. But the fact that it ended on such a lovely note, it was so emotional, such
Yeah.
an emotional gut punch is what the film needed to end on. And it delivered that on all front. And I was like, I came away thinking, thank God that stuck the landing. Because the worst thing for it to happen was like, oh, it can't stick the landing. And I love the film up until now, and it can't stick the landing. That's the worst thing for us to say. But it saw it through to the end, and thank God it did. So yeah.
It's unbelievable the ending. It's the best ending of the year for me. I think not only does it recontextualize what the whole film's really truly about, but I also
Mm.
think it's consistently about the unbearable weight of loss. It's
Exactly.
so
When you zoom out and look at the themes and explore
yeah,
horror is a genre to explore themes, isn't it? Horror is to explore anything, and Bring It Back is the biggest example of horror being used to explore something, isn't it? So yeah.
but yeah, I'm so glad that we had the same number one. It's been
I think we knew we did. I think I doubt there was going to be a plot twist. Really, we were on the same page. I think we
it's
knew
what
we were going to be as well.
it was
So yeah.
the probably the like one of the few films I came out of this year that I literally just said I was like half 11 during the morning. I was just so distraught coming out. I was like I had to gather my thoughts because it was
Exactly. Go home and watch Pixar or something. I assumed when you said 9:30, I assumed in the evening or at
no,
night.
no in the morning, yeah.
I remember you saying you saw it in the morning. I was just forgetting that part,
Yeah,
but
because time difference, yeah. But yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
oh, absolutely tremendous movie, and
Yeah. All the way.
all the way. But that concludes the top 10 we got there.
Yep. In the end, we did.
But I want to say, mate, it's been a genuine pleasure to get you on. It's been a long time coming. It's
Perfect.
been such a great discussion. We've covered a lot of different movies today.
Exactly. What's the top 10 list is of an in-depth, proper lecture, really, in a way.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
nothing would be more controversial than me putting Avatar at number five. But yeah,
No, you're allowed to. Don't worry, you're allowed
that's
to. Yeah.
fine. Nah, mate. But I will don't know what the podcast future lies. But if I
Yeah.
don't get you on soon, mate, I guess I'll see you next year.
Yeah, it's been smashing to kind of finally chat to you and finally get sort of speak to you, and also it's been long overdue. We needed to do it at some point, and it's a what better way to do it than now.
I've got a special I kind of want to do, but it would take a lot of time. I'll put it that way. Um,
Okay. I look forward to that. So see what that's going to be, but
yeah,
hopefully in the future something else lies in store. I'd say.